Hi guys, this is Jean Holden, producer of the show, and I just wanted to take a minute to let you know where you can find us on the internet. Please go to ThatMan on Fatman.com. There you can find out all the things you need to know about the show. You'll be able to find links to the podcast, to YouTube, to Twitter, Facebook, even Instagram and Snapchat. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Today's show is brought to you by Death Wish Coffee. Death Wish Coffee, the strongest coffee in the world.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and I want to urge you to make a generous donation to the Wayne Foundation so we can stop the sexual trafficking of children. Do it, or I'll find you.
And don't forget to check out our good friend of the show, Mark Live, over at chundertunes.com for all your podcast animation needs. ThatMan on Fatman is recorded with a Zoom H6 handy recorder. Zoom for creators.
Disclaimer. The show you're about to experience is for entertainment purposes only. The hosts use mature language and conversation just like in most of life. If you're too uptight, this might not be for you. All that said, we really do hope you enjoy the show. But if you don't enjoy it, expect a nice big shipment of my joyous Joker juice on your doorstep in the very near future. Toodles!
Yes, please note that use of all sound effects is done ironically.
Ooh-ah. You are listening to ThatMan on Fatman with Scott and Jean Holden, and they, trust me, have a great ass.
As the world's biggest Kevin Smith fan, I appreciate the fact that somebody finally made a podcast about that interesting motherfucker. So yes, you absolutely did the right thing.
Okay, what has two thumbs and is a huge fan of Kevin Smith? ThatMan!
Scott, who does ThatMan on Fatman podcast.
Yeah.
Ooh-ah.
Well, once upon a time, just a regular man read a book written by the Fat Man. Tough shit written by old Kev Smith.
Ooh-ah. ThatMan on Fatman.
Kev said go out and start a podcast, and so I did, and I had a real blast. But my obsession was driving my co-host nuts.
Who is he? He's that man. He's talking.
Didn't want to bring the podcast down. Needed Pork Chop Murphy to hang around.
Go get him, that man.
So I created a show with one heck of a plan, and I call that show ThatMan on Fatman.
ThatMan on Fatman.
Go get him, that man.
We're gonna talk about Kevin Smith.
ThatMan on Fatman. ThatMan on Fatman.
Go get him, that man.
We're gonna talk about Kevin Smith.
Go get him, that man.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this show, episode, ThatMan on Fatman, I'm sorry, show 4-17, with this week, our guest, Stacey Prussman, but, as always, in the studio with me is co-host and producer extraordinaire, Jean Holden.
Hi, guys.
And I'm stuck in this weird cadence, because before, we were playing around with the idea of doing a new character, which would be the voice from the game Portal.
Hi, everybody. I'm the voice from Portal. But Jean has to work on it because she'll do it better.
Oh, yeah, I could do it. For
So
sure.
I'm stuck in that cadence, though. So
I for sure could do that.
we've been messing around and
Yes.
this morning or this afternoon or whatever time this is.
Just a little bit ago.
Should we start with the SMed lines just to get that thing going? And I can stir my
Yeah,
coffee here,
sure.
take a
Let's
sip
go.
while the theme plays.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. And now, direct from the That Cave, we give you the Smedlines with Gene Holden. It's much better without that long gap at the beginning.
I know. So, hey guys, welcome back to the Smedlines, and we have a couple little
Stories.
Sorry,
No, it's okay.
I lost my
just
train of
helping you
thought
out.
for a second.
Yeah,
there.
you're looking at like 4 different things.
There is, you can check out the Sci-Fi 25 Original Stories podcast with Adam Savage. He had Kevin Smith
Now,
as
Adam
his guest.
Savage, just real quick, just to clarify for folks who don't know,
Like
if
a
you remember a little show,
background.
called, what the heck was it called? now?
Mythbusters.
That's right,
I have a hard time
Mythbusters.
saying that.
And I think it may still be on, but I'm not sure. I know it was winding down.
Well, they chat. It seems like they chat Planet of the Apes. They chat Star Wars. So
Yeah.
they like a whole bunch of stuff. But
And
it's
he's a
cool.
total nerd. And if I recall,
know.
they hooked up on the IMDb boat,
Yes,
maybe?
they did. Yes,
yeah,
they
and
did.
so there was some movie prop and
Yeah.
Excalibur stuff.
Yeah,
Wait a minute,
Excalibur.
what was that? Was there
Oh, no.
Excalibur stuff going on? Wait a minute here, you gotta say
I don't think
Excalibur.
so.
You mean like that kind of shit? Or maybe
Now, Nafra, Unvas Bethod, doch
or my personal favorite. By far the best. And of course, there's the comic book man one.
Now, Nafra, Unvas Bethod, doch
So there you go. A little charm of making.
See, I just love Kevin, so I can't be mad. But still, it's so annoying. Congratulations on season 7 of Comic Book Man.
That's right, of course.
The completion.
Yeah, so yeah, the second part. Is it the second part, or is this the 7?
I-
I'm losing track now.
7.
Yeah, so this is the beginning of 7.
Yes.
It's not the, because they do half seasons.
Right, but this is the complete. They completed the this portion, so they're great.
Huzzah! Yes, that's right. I
huzzah
saw
to
the video
everyone.
flying all over the place.
Yeah, congratulations to everyone.
Lots of
It's
crazy
great.
stuff going on.
Yeah, exciting.
So, wait, have we broken from a news story to another news story? I'm sorry, I got to make sure I got
I am sorry.
The sweeper, are we gonna sweep yet?
We were just saying that check out that podcast again, Sci-Fi 25 Original Stories podcast with Adam Savage, Kevin Smith. It's pretty cool.
All right.
So now, Jay Muse. Sorry, next story.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to talk over that.
Yeah.
Because then it's really confusing to everybody.
All right. Well, so one more time, just
so-
for old time's sake.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
What is what's a Wookiee? What is this drink? What's a storm? What now? Trooper? Pooper trooper? What's this, Grace?
Okay, so Jay Muse did an interview with Comic Book. You can go to, I think it's comicbook.com. You can probably see the interview.
Okay.
Basically saying that the script for Jay and Bob Rebooted is amazing. He went on to say it's just really smart. And just kind of like explaining the whole reboot thing. It's not a reboot. It's kind of like making fun of a reboot. So he was just going on about how it's going to be great. So we're all excited about it. So
That is
looking
awesome.
forward to more stories. And
But, I mean, to be fair, very jaded reviewer.
well, it's just fun. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just, he's ready
Of course.
and he's
but
excited.
hey, yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I think
and
it's going to
it's
be great.
Jay,
I haven't seen the script.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, neither did Brian yet when we had him on a little
No.
while ago.
Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah. That would have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I cut you off there. All right, what story are we in now? I'm sorry. I'm losing track now.
That's pretty
Yeah,
much
I don't know
it. It was
why.
just talking about, how Jay was just excited and, said it was great. So, and Kevin's going to be coming up. He's going to be doing some shows in Philly in November. Check
Is it
them
getting
out.
old yet?
Go to,
Or is it driving
is
me
it
crazy?
SMod? Is that where you go to see all the shows that they're going to be doing?
Yeah, yes.
They're going to be doing
SEESMOD.
Yes.
Basically, if you go to
SMod.
If
Yeah,
you go to smodcast.com, you'll find the link.
Great, because they're going to be doing a Babel in Philly in November.
Yeah, that one in fucking
2 of them.
at Caroline's.
Caroline's.
Yeah,
so check it out because he's got a whole bunch of stuff going
It's
on.
Cleo.
Really cray.
Yes.
Time to kick back,
So-
drink some beers, and smoke some weed.
So it's definitely going to be fun. So check that out too. And that is the Smed lines for this time.
Noise. Smoking weed, doing coke, drinking beers. Pack her ass, my good man. Time to kick back, drink some beers, and smoke some weed.
Oh my God.
We're working out.
This has been the Smedlines with Gene
That's
Holden.
like the sexy, hey baby.
And now when we walk, now we're on the other side of the Smith lines.
The other side.
Yes. On the dark side.
Oh, yeah.
Wait.
Oh, who was that? That's Eddie and the Cruisers.
Ah.
No. Is that Eddie and the Cruisers?
On the dark side. Oh, yeah. Yes, that's
Bane?
where I live. I live on the dark side.
Was that
baby.
Eddie and the Cruisers, Bane?
It was indeed, which means it was the guy who hung out with the Grateful Dead, I believe. He
Really?
played piano with them quite a bit. Mr.
Oh,
Bruce
Bruce
Hornsby.
Was that who
Yes.
that's... Really? I didn't know that.
On the dark side. Sorry,
I like his
it's the
voice,
mask.
actually.
It makes
I like
me
Bruce
off
Hornsby.
key. I need to be merged, possibly, with the chick from Portal.
Oh my God.
I will be ultimate Bane.
Oh my God, Bane. That is way too much. Oh my God, Bane.
Oh, I'm sorry, that choked me off. I couldn't breathe. But I think I had an orgasm. Autoerotic asphyxiation's amazing. Let me do that again.
Oh, I feel so good.
Oh, that was great again. I've never had multiples. I think I have to check out now. This has been too intense.
Oh my God, I like him falling off the chair laughing.
That was interesting there.
That was really-
Bane checking in. Thank you there, Bane.
That
Always-
was so real. The sound was crazy. It felt like you were really, that was in the room.
There you go. Just a moment for funsies. And
Yeah.
I think I'm overmodulating a touch.
It
Thank
was
you very
so real.
much.
It was so real.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this week's guest.
Okay.
Now, it's funny because if you've been following online, we dropped that we had a great interview recently with a really great guest. And then you're like, well, why the hell isn't that dropped yet? Because before that happens, we've had this interview in the can for a little bit. And I feel terrible that we've probably had to postpone it twice.
Yeah, we did. But
And it's not because we
nothing-
don't deeply enjoy this guest.
Yes. She's
Oh my
very
God.
adorable.
Oh, yes. She's
Super cute. Super
very
hot.
honest. Lots of fun.
Super funny.
Yeah, great comedian.
Yeah.
And as I say,
Very sensitive.
I opened kind of saying that I totally I had a misjudgment on her just based on how we met her. And I don't want to take the wind out of those sails. So,
He's very feminine, very adorable,
Yeah.
and very sweet, and a great interview.
yeah,
funny.
We totally flirt with her.
Yeah, funny.
She's,
but then kind
she's
of
adorable.
like,
She's so
yeah.
fucking gorgeous. I mean,
Yeah.
you just want to eat her up.
She really is. It
She's
was a
fun.
great
She's
interview.
honest. She's open. She's a podcaster.
Yeah.
Uh,
And there's a chance we may be
on her
over
show
on her
sometime
show.
soon. Yes,
So
I'm sure
that'll be
she
a
was
cool
waiting
thing.
for us to drop this show too. I can't say I blame her. But I'm
That'll be
glad
fun.
we recorded this like at least a month ago, maybe a
Yes.
month and a half.
Uh-huh.
It's just that's the way it's getting now.
Yeah,
We're
we get
trying to get a lot of content for y'all. We actually have 3 or 4 shows deep now,
Yeah, we're good.
and all good stuff. All either Kevin related or it's all Kevin related.
Yeah.
But so a lot of good stuff is coming up.
All different kinds of Kevin related.
Yes. But so this week we have Stacey Prussman.
Yes.
And she, in addition to all the other stuff, she has a great little blurb about having grown up. Her childhood home was an apartment that was rented. Their landlord was the Trump family. Trump
Yeah.
Sr., I believe.
Trump Senior, yeah.
And then, so she gives her insight into how she remembers that relationship, which is mind-blowing to me.
I know, right?
Yeah. And,
it's not surprising.
I've heard things. It's funny because it feels like they feel like one's a nice guy and one's a dope. But, I mean, I've heard different things, but this is just their personal experience, which you can't really argue with.
Right.
It's the impression she was left with.
Right.
So,
it's interesting. That was good. It was fun.
We really enjoyed our time talking with Stacey, and without any ado, here she comes, Stacey Prussman. Did that sound good? Did I do that right?
That was great.
All right.
I loved it.
All right, here comes that goofy music.
And now, here's our guest.
All right, our next guest here. I first met this person when we were interviewing folks for the movie What's a Podcast?
At the Anthony Cumia studio party.
Which was at Caroline's. And I felt weird because we were doing like almost bulk interviews. We're kind of setting people up and knocking them down. And it was
definitely an awesome opportunity.
That we got. And so we interviewed Stacey, and I tell you, when I looked at the footage, it was amazing because she like jumps off and just projects a certain confidence and exuberance. Yeah. And sexiness, like
sexy.
Boom. Yeah. So then I have to say, I think I was a victim of maybe prejudging her because of that band of comedians, I kind of thought maybe she was more in the, let's say, Cumia political wing.
Right.
But over time, watching her Facebook posts and stuff, I don't get that vibe at all. So I may have painted her into a box unfairly. But we'll find out more now because on the show is Miss Stacey Prussman. Are you there?
Hey, guys.
Hey. So did I misjudge you politically?
Oh, my God, 1,000%.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe from your Facebook over time.
It's funny. I ended up. This is an interesting story. Prior to I did Cumia a couple of times, and I did. I was on Artie's show, and that wasn't political at all. But me and Bob Levy were in 2014-15 around there. We did a radio show on a sort of a right wing or libertarian station.
Okay.
And I believe they had all those right wing guys on. Like I think Alex Jones was on that station. I think.
Oh my God.
One of the other guys, maybe Mike Huckabee was on. Yeah, like I can find the poster, but it was like every one of those Fox guys, whatever, crazy Fox guy. So I'm like, and me and Bob were pretty like, and Joe Conti, we were like, I think Joe Conti's not like that either. Like,
yeah, he seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, so all of us were like Bob's like just, I think he got more right wing, but
oh, definitely.
We weren't right wing at all. We were just comics, and and I just sort of like ignored that whole side of it, but we just were funny and not, and kind of not really political. We just make fun of everybody.
Yeah.
We weren't really political one way or another, but the network was very political, but or they had political people on it. So I thought that was interesting. But no, that's not I don't really swing that way.
No, you don't. You don't swing that way.
Well, it's funny too because it seems like I think in comedy there was this sort of, let's call it, there's this like political correct backlash, which my feeling is like if you're complaining that comedy has become too politically correct, my real feeling is you're not funny or you're not creative because
right. I mean there are people that like are very pro freedom of speech, and I think Cumia is one of them. Like, I don't know. So I agree with that. I agree. You're allowed to say whatever you want. Like I'm very politically incorrect.
Yeah, but you're going to suffer.
I don't think that means. I just say I just say things that I feel or things that I say. Like, I use the word retard, and people are like, well, that's not nice. I'm like, I don't.
I do too.
I make fun of retarded people.
I do too.
But you don't mean it like you don't mean it like that. I say retarded.
I love that word. That was what I called my brother half the fucking time. Half my life. Why would I stop now?
It's so true.
Yeah, I never have a mean intent, except sometimes I do. But I don't really. So I think when I started doing comedy like 15, 17 years or whatever, a million years ago, it was different. Like we just, there wasn't such yes, you do college and you'd have to watch what you say. You couldn't say dirty words or whatever. But like now it's become beyond that. Now it's like you can't insult groups of people, and you can't do this, and you can't do ethnic, and you can't talk about women.
But
badly.
you can if you
No,
know
you can,
how.
but there's no
If you're
right,
if you're if you have a creative bone in your body, you can figure it out.
I do eating disorder lectures, and they're not politically correct. And I've said, and I don't. There's nothing politically correct about them, but they're still funny. I think.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be funny, but they're serious.
Yeah.
But because I don't do it in a mean way. I mean, if you're just mean for being mean, then you're not going to be funny.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you find the details of like, if you do like racial jokes, and you can find like the minutia of the details of the stereotype, not the general stuff, that's when the people are going to laugh.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God, you noticed that? You noticed that? Like the little
and when it's more, and when you're celebrating difference as opposed to like, oh, you're less than because
exactly
you can. It's just comedy never works punching down.
Right.
You just look like a dick.
No, you don't. It doesn't. I mean, there's a lot of people. I've been doing shows, and I see a lot of young comics, and some are amazing, and then some are trying to be edgy. And the funny part about it is they're stealing voices of the comics that I came up with, or like people that were around, starting when I started out. And like they're really famous now, and I'm like, oh my God, you sound exactly like so and so. I'm like, so and so does that joke. I'm like, and I have to tell them sometimes, like that's the same joke that so and so does. And why do you sound like my friend? What? And I always get really uncomfortable with that, but I shut my mouth.
Well, it's good to tell them. They want to know.
I do. I've told comics that. Yeah. I'm like, that's so and so's joke. It's funny.
But that's important though, because
one had same joke. I'm like, my ex-husband does the same joke word for word. I'm like, and he did it in 2002.
Yeah,
so
but
it's like.
But that's
crazy.
a phase. That's a creative phase. You start out with an imitation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until you find your own voice, and then you start to grow from there.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm a collection of Howard Stern and George Carlin and
God.
1,000 other references.
And the thing is, he cannot do George Carlin without like being George Carlin.
Yeah,
like,
so we won't do that.
Yeah, we won't do that. But it's like, it's a whole thing. Like you go into like character then.
Yeah. But anyway,
you can't do that. Yeah, he's a separate entity.
I know, right?
So do you see what the fuck is going on in Charlottesville, Virginia, right now?
Oh, is there like a Nazi?
It's a fucking race riot going on right now.
I don't understand. Like, this is what I don't get. Like, all right, I've been living in America since I'm born. That's the last 20 years.
Hey, me too.
Oh my God, me too. Hey, welcome.
Like, when did like Nazism become a thing again?
I know.
It seems like sometime around when Trump declared his presidency, I think was around the time.
It's very weird. Like, it's like. I don't
Very
understand. I mean, and all those guys, they're going to lose their jobs because they're probably owned by Jews. But anyway.
Whoa. Ouch.
Yeah, I'm sure those guys aren't all entrepreneurs, or they're probably,
no, they're
even
not.
if they have like blue collar jobs, I'm sure those, they just fuck themselves.
Oh, of course, they're arresting the black people.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're standing up for themselves. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Like this is like, it's like this whole thing. I guess I don't know the whole alt-right thing. I don't really understand it 100%. If that's a part of that,
I think it is. I believe this is being billed as an alt-white nationalist movement thing, Breitbart, the whole 9 yards.
I don't even understand all that. I don't even pay. I actually hate it so much. I don't pay attention to it.
But seriously,
it can be summed up best as I think. What do they say? When you've been spoiled so long. And other people start to get their freedom, you're being spoiled makes it look like, you're losing. It makes you look like you're being oppressed. But it's not. It's just everything's getting more equal.
Well, I think there's
privilege
whole
is what I'm talking about.
With poor, we have a lot of, this is the problem. There's very poor, uneducated white people.
Yes.
A lot of them.
Yes.
As we know. And those people feel like poor, minorities in their own way. I mean, I'm not even saying I'm saying this is what's going on.
But they are. They're like an ignorant.
Uneducated. And but there's this thing with the Nazism, and it's very violent. It has a violent connotation.
Very angry.
Like there's a different way to go about it. Like I don't know. I mean, maybe I get an education, but there's a different way to go about having pride of your I mean, I don't even know like what that means. Like I mean, they have these people who are from immigrant families like 4 generations ago. None of them are from the Mayflower, the Irish or whatever, or Italian. I don't know what they are. They're not even like, they're immigrants themselves, probably 3rd generation. They're not. No one's really native born except the Native Americans. So I don't get the whole thing. I'm not really clear.
I think, you know what? I think like our area where we are, we're so close to like New York City. Like we're so close to like so many different like culture, so many different types of people. These people are in like the middle of what the fuck? Where are we? You know what I mean? They don't really experience what we experience, and I almost think they look at us like we're almost like some superior white people because we're over here, and they're like stuck in Virginia. I don't know. Like maybe they think
there's a lot of propaganda bots out there too.
Yeah, there are a lot of propaganda bots. This is the problem. I've traveled a lot, and you go to these areas, and there's very smart, beautiful, educated people, and then you have these like schmucky people. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's a common. And then there's like they're like. It's very weird because I always would travel and be like, oh, it's going to be awful. People are not going to get it. And I've traveled literally almost all the states. I've been to every state. And there's always people that get it. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
like what Bill Maher says. He goes to like Crackerville, Virginia, or
and you meet the most wonderful, brilliant people.
Exactly. Yeah, they get it everywhere.
Not that. It's just there's these pockets of schmucks.
Yeah,
and it's probably where I grew up too, in Brooklyn. I'm sure they would be marching too in Bensonhurst. But I'm saying like it's like
oh my God.
It's like I grew up in like the Forest Hills, a little naughty, but no, I'm sick of it. I don't understand what's going on because it's like. It's not cool to be a Nazi. Like, it's not a cool thing. It's like, I don't know where that...
Well, that's why they've rebranded it alt-right, That changes everything.
But they're weirdos, too. Then they have that gay guy. What was that guy? That Milo guy? Who's like
but he got drummed out. He was sort of like... I saw him as... Like, he was trying to do Ann Coulter shtick with gay.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Ann Coulter's out of her mind. And then,
Ann Coulter's all full of shit.
This is the
Ann
problem.
Coulter is doing an act.
That's what I'm saying. She hangs out with She hangs out with my friends, the comedy friends. Like, she's friends with all of them, all the black and white comedians. So she's not racist. Yeah. She's just, crazy and whatever. So she's like an act. This is the problem. People like her egg on the schmucks.
They get rewarded for it, too.
Because they think she's for real.
And they make money off of them. It's
the crazier stuff they say, the more they get rewarded. They know it's an act, just like Rush Limbaugh knows it's an act.
Like that
Anyone who meets Rush Limbaugh kind of says this. It's really strange. It's as though... He plays a conservative on the radio.
Yeah, it's marketing. It's an acting job.
It totally is.
It's also like that conspiracy guy, that guy who's selling like his
Alex Jones.
God.
Alex Jones. He's selling vitamins and shit because no one will put ads on his show. He has to make up his own ads.
Yeah, but he's making a lot of money because he's exploiting people.
And he does his before and after body, like after his like medicines and everything. Like, you look
Wasn't he orange?
The after you could put before.
He's more like Trump after.
Oh yeah, he's orange. That's right. He's like orange.
Now we're doing what's his name shtick from last week.
That was so funny. Who was that?
Who?
That was
John Oliver.
John Oliver.
Yeah. He's brilliant.
Oh, he's so funny.
Oh my God, there's so much comedy now. It's so great. So are you like? Do you you don't incorporate any of this into like an act or anything, right? You don't incorporate.
What do you mean?
You don't because
are
you don't
topical?
Talk about like. Do you like?
Sometimes I sometimes do.
How can you not talk about Trump now?
Well, first of all, Trump was my landlord. This is a true story.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Not my landlord, my parents' landlord. But when I was very
hang on, I'm giving more.
Yeah, I'm getting signs to shut up.
I just called her my daughter because I'm telling her to shut up.
I'm getting like this horrible like
the cut sign.
The cut sign. Shut up.
Let her talk. She's going to talk about Trump.
All
right.
So this is an interesting story. So my parents lived in a building in Brooklyn. There was like kind of my mom was renting it for years from Donald Trump's father, Fred.
Okay.
Okay. It was called the Wedgwood.
So no darkies allowed, right?
The Wedgwood. I've heard of that.
So no darkies?
No, it's not true. No, there were like mixed couples. It was like the 70s,
wow.
60s, 70s. No, the father, this is interesting, was very nice.
Okay.
At least, publicly, like he made a nice appearance, in terms of his personality.
Yeah,
he was friendly. People liked him.
He appeared to be nice.
But the 70s in that area, like Beach Haven, where they were talking, was very racially motivated. Like that was what was going on back then. You know what I'm saying? People would go. It wasn't totally, like there was issues going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Arthur Guthrie, I think, or Woodrow, one of the Guthries lived in Beach Haven, which is right near where my parents lived. He also owned that. But my mother lived in a little bit nicer building. It was very nice blue awning. My best friend lived there. Anyway, and I was born in that building.
Okay.
So I lived there for the first year of my life. And so Donald would come with Fred to collect, he was he's probably about 10 years. How old is Donald? 70?
71, I think he just turned, yeah.
He's like 10 years younger than my mom, so he's probably in his 20s. And he would come with his dad to get the rent or fix something in the building, look at something in the building or get the lease.
How old were you at the time?
I was just born. Literally, I was one.
I was going to say, did he hit on you yet?
He might have touched my pussy. But
I'm gonna
Do you mind if I grab her by the pussy?
I'm going to date her soon.
Yeah. In 10 years, I'll be dating her.
Future. I'm the same age as Melania, I think. She's my age.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, yeah, he would be dating you.
And I'm thinking, like, if I was her, I never wanted, like, I'd get grossed out. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe she has to fuck him. Anyway, so I don't care how much money that guy has. It's gross. So and
he's
an
like
idiot.
a fat
she hates him. You
Tyrannosaurus
can
Rex.
see the hate in her face.
I know, it's so true.
Right? Like the disgust and the disdain.
But she should disdain herself. She made the choice.
I feel bad. I actually feel bad for her. But people are like, don't feel bad for her. I'm like, I kind of do.
I do too.
I think he bought her from Putin. Anyway, so
well, because we're women, that's
Retail.
why we feel bad for her. Because we're women, we feel bad for her because we're women. That's why.
Yeah, we do. I mean, people get, and his first wife, my mother knew his first wife, and she was really nice.
I bet you she was. I have a feeling she was the brains. I really do.
She was.
I think she was the brains.
My parents know the Trumps for years, so this is the crazy thing. So Donald wouldn't pay the contractors, and Fred would yell at him. Like my dad used to see Fred yelling at Donald in the building, like. And my dad was like, new Fred, so it was really funny. I mean, my parents were like a little bit older than like maybe about 10 years older than Donald or 8 years. Yeah, so my dad would see this. My dad was friendly with Fred, and in the building, and he would say he liked him. He was, my dad's Jewish, and he liked Fred, but they said that Donald was like the schmucky son.
The schmucky son?
Yeah. But he was like, that's, the son that, that's hanging out with the father that's rich and made, millions, whatever.
Yeah.
Donald was like the guy, like the son. Like sort of how like we look at his sons, but
yeah.
They're just like Donnie Jr. It's just like that.
Yeah, it does seem like they're both inept.
He just kind of like.
But I think he's out of his mind. I mean, he wasn't so crazy back in the day. And then another crazy connection to Trump is that when I got married, I'm divorced, but when I got married in 2009, my makeup artist was one of the women. She's very nice, Jill, who I love to death. She's was one of the people that had been touched by molested by him. The makeup artist from the beauty pageant. Yes.
Oh.
So I have these weird connections to Donald Trump.
Oh my God!
And is it true that he would just walk in and think he could just like look at everybody and just kind of do whatever?
I don't know. I didn't know. I mean, I hadn't seen her since 2009, and then all of a sudden she's on the news talking about this whole thing. So I'm like, it's very weird. I mean, I remember doing an animal rights, animal rescue party. My friend has a charity, and he's, rich guy, and he has a charity. He's a very nice guy. And one of the Trump brothers were there, and everyone. This is right after they were shooting the animals, the safari animals, the elephants, and people were like, what the hell is he doing here? Like, I think it was Eric Trump was there. I'm like, why is Eric Trump? This was like way before the election. This is like 4 years before the election. I'm like, why is Eric Trump at this party? Like, he just killed an elephant, and people were literally mad. Like, they were like,
oh, that's right, that's right.
They were socialites, and they were really angry. I'm like, okay. So I don't know what's going. I mean, I feel like we're in like the Twilight Zone. I don't know. There's fake news that people. That's the thing. People are like, what's real? Then there's like blog news, which is really bad. Blog news.
I have it all figured out. It's all pretty simple to me. Trump is a Russian fucking puppet, and was
totally.
And the election was completely the Electoral College. I'm sorry, was hacked and fixed by the Russians, and I don't know that Trump expected that or not. I kind of think he had some deal with the Russians, but didn't think that he would end up president. But they sort of double-crossed him and fixed
something crazy, right?
Yeah,
now this whole thing with Korea, and then they're in bed with Korea because Putin and like that dwarf, whatever his name is,
Kim Jong-un.
Well, they talk about a piss tape video, like that's a big thing to Trump. But how about the Russians know the election was fixed.
Yeah, and they could
How is
count.
that
They do, and they do
as
it
a
in such
powerful
way where
piece?
we can't really figure it out.
Isn't that a much more powerful piece of blackmail than a piss video?
Like, you fuck up, I'll tell everyone that I fixed it for
We'll
you.
just release the evidence.
That you're a loser. Yeah.
that we did
I'm not
this.
gonna, people like. I think that there's something really, really crazy going on.
Oh, definitely.
Like, beyond that, like beyond what because there's a whole like chess game. Do you see what I'm saying? Like he gets elected, and then this other thing happens, and this other thing happens, and then
Oh
they
yeah,
take
he's
us
definitely
over.
doing a lot of things to distract and diffuse.
Yeah.
I think his mission. I mean, it was laid out in that dossier that Trump is so desperately afraid of. That one of the things he's, among many things, destroy the State Department because the Russians hate the State Department because
of course
it's the ambassador of goodwill of America.
Yeah, because it unifies people.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's
right.
It's our how we spread the word of democracy and freedom and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And the Russians hate that. Right. And what did Trump do?
That's against everything. Yeah.
He's like drowning it in a bathtub.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why Congress, even Republicans, would be like pro. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Because I'm like, if
do you watch Game of Thrones?
You believe in your religious craziness. That's your fucking.
Do you watch Game of Thrones at all?
No, I don't watch it. I'm the only one. I have to start watching.
Like,
the only one
like a couple weeks ago, this one character summed it up. It was almost like she was talking about Trump, but she was talking about the evil queen of the show.
Yeah.
And she said failure of imagination is the problem. Everyone failed to imagine that someone would willingly want to break everything.
Wow, isn't that fucked up? It's so true, though.
Well, that was Bannon's theory. Isn't that Bannon's theory?
Absolutely.
Pretty much.
Yes, it is.
And you never hear from him, right?
Notice he keeps dodging the bullet, too.
And
I'm pretty much sure he's the only one left.
And remember,
all right, so
he was supposed to be gone,
Trump
too.
gets impeached.
Wow, this has nothing to do with
Kevin
Kevin Smith or any of this shit. That's all right. That's all right. This is good.
We have to talk about Kevin.
No, we don't have to talk about him.
We know you're a fan.
Impeached and Kevin Smith does a movie, then.
There you go. We got it in.
Clerks 5. And then Donald Trump is like a clerk in the next movie.
Actually, they're doing Jay and Silent Bob rebooted.
Donald Trump.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Donald
My friend
Trump's
Steve,
a clerk.
you should get Steve Grillo. He's friends with Kevin, and he
Oh
knows
my
Brian
God,
O'Halloran.
yes.
And all
I know who
those guys,
Steve
too.
Grillo is. He was on the Howard Stern show back in the day.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends. You should get him on the show.
Steve Grillo?
Steve Grillo.
Yeah.
Really? I just wanted him on to say Brogley.
Oh my God, he used to say Brogley.
Yeah.
I just wanted him to say Brogley.
He's friends with. I just hung out with Brian O'Halloran.
So
we had lunch, me, Jackie Martling, Steve, another guy, a bunch of people. We had
Jackie
lunch
Martling.
a couple of weeks ago, and he'd be perfect for
Oh my
your show.
God, I love Jackie Martling.
Yeah. Why don't I have a Jackie sound queued up?
Hey,
yeah, Jackie's great. I love Jackie.
Job,
He sent me a nice package.
Did he really?
His
Is he doing well though?
Oh yeah, Jackie's doing great. Grillo's doing well. They're all doing great.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, that's me. Oh, geez.
Yeah, Grillo was at the Anthony Cumia Compound Network party.
Oh,
too.
he must have been.
I
there
took him as
too.
my date.
Was he?
Yeah, he was there.
Well, you know what? We
I know
didn't
Stuttering
know.
John was there
We
too.
didn't know, and Stuttering John was there.
Who was there? Stuttering John.
We saw you guys outside smoking
Yeah, Grillo.
or vaping or whatever it was you were doing.
As my guest, and then I guess John. They're all friends. Everyone's friends. Like the Cumia. It's interesting because remember Howard and Opie and Anthony weren't friends, but now everyone's sort of like mooshed together.
Right.
That is funny. We actually,
Yeah.
we were on the Stern show. We have it in our archives on this
geez.
show.
Oh, when were you on?
Oh, geez,
back in the
Stacey.
classic
Back.
90s.
Yeah.
I was on it I was on it like 4 times, like 2001.
No,
2,
we're talking. This
99.
is before showbiz. This
We
is
were in
like
90s.
we were like 20-year-olds, like whack jobs. Like
Sluts.
That's awesome.
yeah, Gene got spanked.
Yeah, I was a total slut.
I didn't realize how crazy we were back then.
It was
until hearing the
crazy
tape.
shit.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's,
That back in the day when it first started, that was fun.
Yeah, it was like
oh my God.
what was it, 1991 or 92
It might
or
must have
something?
been, but hearing that, like you just
There
like,
was only 3 networks or 3.
Yeah.
It was like Washington, New York, and Philly.
yeah, it just feels like a total different like lifetime. Really, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Ooh.
I'm still in touch with all those guys that's like in the mid '90s or on the show. They were interns, like I'm really like Chauncey and all those guys. are
Oh
still
my
friends.
God! How about what was his name?
That's funny.
Fred the Elephant Boy.
We'd have any of those guys on.
Is he okay?
I don't know the whack. I know the people that work.
Oh, that's
on
the more like whack pack people. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew
We have
you
Gorilla
know
on.
Mike Angie and Doug Goodstein. They're amazing guys.
Oh, how
Steve,
about what's his
Stacey.
name? His Fred.
Oh yeah.
Fred.
Fred's
you know, I
tight,
don't know.
Fred.
You know, I was
Fred's still up in the
friendly with
echelon.
Fred. I didn't really know him that well. He was very quiet. He always kept to himself.
Yeah, he
Fred. I
was
didn't know him that well.
quiet.
I went to see his band a couple of times.
Oh, did you? Oh, cool.
Back in the day, yeah.
I like Fred.
I don't really know Howard and Robin personally at all, but I know the other people that work on the show. You know, obviously John and those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's
The
so
90s
funny.
people.
Like I listened.
nice.
I was a diehard listener until what was it? It was around when Jackie left, and also when he got divorced. They were all around the same time. That's sort of when I started following it. And
I remember that. Yeah.
And I also
remember that.
started listening to O&A about the same time.
Yeah.
So it was like I fell off of one, I picked up on the other, and then eventually we moved.
Right.
And everybody got thrown off the air everywhere and went on satellite anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that hurt. Like for me, like I remember when I did Howard in like the 2000, right before Sirius came. I did it a couple of times, and I would like advertise the show. It was packed.
Yeah.
Right. And then so when it went to Sirius, everything diffused throughout the country. So rather than just being in the New York area or it would be like
It's national.
It became like national. So you wouldn't get as much like people coming to things, you know.
Yeah,
unless
it's
you were,
sort of
arty
like
or something.
it's podcasting in that way too. I mean, you have a much broader. I mean, I've got listeners in Europe, but you know, it's like I can't really
Right.
maximize that market.
Yeah.
Right. Everything got diffused. So when you listened to regular radio back in the day, it was like people put on the car and everyone would hear you. And it was like people that listened to Howard were like everybody. Now it's just people, particularly the big fans, are actually paying to hear it.
Yeah.
Where before it was like you just put it on and you happened to hear me. Like my mom's boss heard me once, and people like random people would hear me all the time.
Yeah.
And now when it's very different, I think. But
And my parents actually heard me, and I found my clothes were all over the front lawn.
Oh,
when I came
no.
home. Well, because I was being spanked, and that was my punishment.
Oh, that's so
All of my
Yeah,
clothes
parents
were
lost their
all
shit.
over the front yard. I think it was more my stepmother, which was not good. But like, hello, I was just on the radio. A little
I know.
respect.
Luckily, it wasn't televised.
I was being a whore. Hope you don't
I was
mind.
totally being a whore, but it was fun.
But it wasn't on the TV at that point.
Oh no,
right?
no, it was not the TV.
Thank
No, it was
God.
not.
You-
It was,
No,
I was
yeah.
not. I was not on.
Although
like,
they were recording, they actually were recording the Channel 9 show at the time because
Yeah.
Howard makes a reference during the show. He says, "Oh, it'd be good if we were doing," because he was talking about what was the show that?
God.
Oh fuck, the one that Groucho Marx used to host. Does he say the secret word and win
I don't
$1,000?
know. I don't remember. The Gong Show is all I can think
Well,
of.
at the time they were bringing it back with, oh my God, Bill Cosby.
Oh my God! Yes, I do.
You Bet Your
remember.
Life, or no, or you know, I forget what.
Yeah, I
It
don't
was
have
one of
no
those-
idea. Yeah.
But he joked about we should do a parody on the show, and I could have a couple on like this one, and I could be like, now I'd like you to spank your girlfriend, Howard. Okay, well now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, there was
That's
no
really-
video. This was before like the Butt Bongo Fiesta and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was
Yeah, that's right. He didn't have to dress it up as a butt bongo. He just spanked you outright.
Oh my God! This
Did it
was
hurt? Did it hurt?
It
She
did.
kept saying it hit him harder,
but you
and he
know
was like,
what?
I'm hitting her. It was actually
like-
a very funny bit.
Actually, listening to it, I was like, "Oh my God, I should have parlayed this into acting." What the fuck?
Yeah,
what
in
was
all
wrong with
honesty,
me?
though, I remember I remember
So
coaching
funny.
her on the
Credit.
way in. I said, just play it up.
And I fucking played
Play
that
it up.
shit up.
Get
like you
him
would not
hard.
believe. So anybody wants to hear it, it's on the list of the shows.
Yeah, it's
I
on there
have
somewhere.
I'm gonna listen
You
to
should.
it.
It's hysterical.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 20 barely. We're barely 20.
We're-
Oh,
It
how
was so-
cute!
it was cute. Yeah, it was adorable. My
It
ass.
shows, though, as much as things change, they
Yeah.
stay the same.
I mean,
It only took 30 years for us to come out of the closet.
Like cute body, everything was just like, and here I am, ass in the air, woohoo!
Talking about kissing girls and stuff.
Oh my God!
Oh, that was big in that day. Like that was a big. Now everyone does it, but back in the day, you kiss girls.
Well,
you do
not
that,
everybody, but
Yeah, now
Not
it's
everybody, but-
guys kissing guys. That's the new big thing.
hey, all right.
That is a new thing. I read a whole article about that.
Did
Really?
Where did you read
There's a
that?
whole article about how when guys don't. I posted it. Someone had, and everyone like all the straight men went crazy because it was like they were so upset, about like how if like men can't they have these bromances where they're like getting BJs from their friends and they can't get laid,
Yeah.
they're straight. They're quote unquote
Yeah,
straight
because they're not coming out as bisexual.
Yeah. Well, that's
Right.
actually our next doc. Is called? We're calling it the B doc.
Yeah. So if you know anybody that wants to be in a movie.
Forgotten letter in the LGBTQ community.
Yeah. So
the what?
It's the B doc. It's called.
What is that?
It's our next documentary. As right now, the podcast documentary is in editing, but as our next documentary on the slate that we're already getting people involved in is it's about bisexuality. It's called the B doc.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
The
So
Forgotten
it's the
Letter in
B.
the LGBT community
Yeah,
is
so-
the subheading.
Yeah. So that's
bisexual is like people get like mad about it.
Oh, and it
Oh,
goes right into
as
that.
a bisexual male, talk about what I get mad about the double standard with female bisexuality. First off,
Yeah.
and I get also upset like that bi men are treated as gay on installment plan, whereas bi women are not. Do you know what I mean?
No, you're right. I think
true.
the theory is that people feel that once there's a penis entering a man's mouth, that then he can't be straightened again,
Or his ass,
can't
or
go
whatever
back.
the case may be.
Yeah. Anything.
Notice how it's not it's not the penis entering.
See, but see how quickly she said it, and it's absolutely what she said is absolutely
Yeah,
true.
it's the feminine aspect.
It's so what
right.
You just
That
said
you
it
want
in like
a
4
man
words.
does
Femininity is bad enough. Why should you guys act like that?
I know. I don't know.
No,
But-
it's very weird. There's a lot of stigma to bisexual men. And
Totally,
I've noticed that.
Totally, and that's why the
And it
only
doesn't need
way
to be. It doesn't
that
need
this is ever going to change is bi guys have to start coming out of the fucking closet, because there is just as many bi guys as there are bi females.
No, well, bi females are totally accepted. And the other thing that's so weird is that if a woman comes out as bi, no one's ever going to worry that, she doesn't want to be with her husband or her boyfriend anymore.
Exactly.
Double standard. The fear of bi men is that once they have a dick or they're with a man, they don't have anything to do with females. And I think that comes from female.
Exactly.
This is where I think it comes from. Not so much the alpha male, beta male type thing. I think it comes from the fact that women don't think that men really like women. Like, do you know what I'm saying? That's what I think it comes from. I don't even think it comes from.
I totally get that.
That's interesting.
I absolutely get that. Yep.
I think it comes from
I never thought of it like that.
subversive women hate. That's what I think. That's my theory.
Oh yeah, I kind of I do believe there's a very anti-feminine bend.
Oh yeah.
We talked about this with Hemda.
Yeah, and this is pushed down though. This is not something that's out.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
something
That's
pushed
because
down.
that's the thing.
I don't think it's sexuality. I think it's female hate. That's my
Absolutely.
opinion. Like, I don't think it's always sexuality. I think that now you're getting.
Well, it's
femininity.
It's femininity. I can't say that
Who
word.
the fuck needs a woman? It's, you know what I'm saying? Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Like, I don't think a man needs a woman if his mental needs are met by a guy, and now his physical needs are met by a woman, and then the whole Madonna whore complex. Like, I've experienced that with a lot of guys I've dated.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my god, that's
they're
that's
like
a
so
whammy
split
jammy.
down the middle. I'm like, this is 2017.
Then you
split down the
then add bi shame in there and forget about it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, so it's like there's a lot of weird shit going on with male sexuality
But
now.
the truth of
Women
the
are
matter-
really owning their sexuality. I think in this year, they're really owning it. There's like a movement
Right.
towards it, and men are still have to be like alpha and this and that, and they're kind of lost in this game. So the dating world has been really messed up.
What I've observed is that bisexual men and bisexual women's behavior is exactly the same. Like, they behave the same way. Like, generally they have a primary relationship with an opposite sex partner, and then they also have, other partners of the same sex.
Right. Right.
In general.
Right. Well, that's mostly you hear that's very like common with females doing that.
Exactly.
And then
It's the same
you
with
don't
males.
hear males doing that.
Yes,
my
you
friend
do.
just
Go on
came out to me
Craigslist.
as being straight. Want to hear this crazy story? My friend,
It's called the DL.
who just had a male lover for 12 years, just came out as being straight.
What?
Really?
Or he said, I'm straight now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He actually came out by being straight. He's like, I'm straight. I have a girlfriend. I'm in love with her. I'm like, oh, great.
Oh my god.
He came
That's
out the other
interesting.
way.
That's interesting. That's
Does she
interesting.
know
Different.
that?
Did she know he was gay?
I don't know. I'm assuming,
But you can't undo that,
but he had a boyfriend. No, yeah, he's very open. He
You
had a
can't
boyfriend for years.
unsuck a dick? Is that what you're
No,
saying,
it
Gene?
can't be unsucked. It's already sucked.
So what does that mean, though?
It does. No, but what I'm saying
Again, it goes back to, you're saying you've actually just fallen into the trap.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you did. You just said, as soon as he sucked a dick, he's gay. He can't go back.
No. But I'm saying, does she know that? Because that might be something that like.
No, she does
know.
know. I think she knows. I think she's
I would
very
think
open.
so.
Yeah.
If she was with the guy for like 10 years.
I mean,
if
he might have. He might
No,
have
he's with the
thought.
guy. Yeah, he's very open.
He might have thought he was, and then it didn't work out. I mean, I don't know. I don't know him.
And then you throw trans into the mix, and then you really blow this shit up.
Well, trans I understand more because that's really that's not sexual. That's more identity.
Right,
so that I
identity.
understand more. Like transsexual, it means that you're not sure. You don't like the body you're born in. You want to be the other sex, and that's like identity. That's not really sexuality as much. So that I kind of understand. But
even that can get complicated because then there are like cross-dressers. There are various levels of androgyny. Besides trans. Really do want to transition someone who identifies as trans, but there are other people out there.
It's more serious.
There are like drag queens who
they just do it.
Well, drag queens are more like they dress up as a woman, but that's not who they just want it. It's more play where
it's more a fetish.
Transsexual somebody is really it's internally I want to be a woman or I want to be a man.
Right.
I feel like a different sex. It's much more psychological. It's much more of a thing. It's not like a game. It's real. This is. But
they're full time. Yes, they really do work.
But drag queens that just they're just dressing up as a woman. I mean, they may want to be they may want to be transsexual. That's a whole nother level. But drag queens are just they're going to perform. It's more of a performance art type of thing.
Yeah. That's how I
feel.
But
like
even if you're performing in bed,
it's a new thing. I don't in terms of like men, like for me, I don't know. I've dated guys who have been gay and they didn't realize they were gay, and then they came out of the closet eventually. But we had, we had a relationship, but it was like, but definitely the thing about dating a bisexual man is like now you're worried that. Men cheat. Now they can cheat with a man or a woman. Like now it's like the whole population is on the table.
But if you're open, then you don't have to worry about any of that.
I'm saying, but if people aren't open, and then like at what point, like if you're like not in an open relationship, at what point do you like, well,
but see, there's a lot of that already going on. If you go on Craigslist, man,
that's
why I'm saying when you're saying
how many men are on the down low?
Oh, fucking A, it's insane out there. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, we're in an open relationship. That's why we're talking about this because we don't.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is something.
And we're both bi, and we're both open and out of the closet, and all
it's
that.
very.
And we actually have a show on it.
That's great.
And we have a show. Yeah.
How about the people that aren't, and they don't know what the hell their husband or wife are
doing? Right. See, but that's the thing.
Yeah,
there's people that don't, and
so we're big advocates of opening up and come and like your life is not going to be destroyed.
Right.
As a matter of fact, you might find it gets better
because it's better to be true to yourself than to not. Like it's just like but to that and it's hard for me. Because I'm not living in their shoes, like maybe it's just better for them the way it is. I don't know. You can't make somebody do it.
It's so funny too when we hear like people breaking up over essentially what's infidelity. It's like, oh my god, what a bamboozlement we've done to each other.
Right.
Right.
Well, because
if you have a good relationship, then someone wants to explore sexually with somebody else. I think that. Yeah, but the thing is, I think the thing is, if you fall in love with somebody else, that's like where it really is a problem.
Right?
No, because if you're if you're
polyamorous.
Yeah, I mean, the theory is, I can love you, I can love my daughter, I can love my son, I can love my wife, I can love someone else. You know what I mean? It's just different levels of love.
Right. Well, yeah. Like if someone else becomes a primary in your life, that's where the problem could be.
Yeah,
if someone replaces,
if that happens, then you talk and you walk.
If someone replaces the other one, yeah,
a surrogate or something.
Yeah,
but that again, that's more stuff that you guys have to talk through and work through, and whatever else you got to do.
Yeah,
maybe it wasn't meant to be, but fortunately, that's not us today.
That becomes a fucked up situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think relationships are really weird that way. Like people, their ego driven.
Yes.
So
they can
if you have an ego, then you can't have that. Like your ego will go crazy, You got
to let go of the ego.
Yeah, you have to let go of the ego.
Yeah.
So tell me about the guys on the down low. I'm kind of curious because I wonder how many guys I've slept with are on the down low.
What do you mean? Like guys that go out looking?
Were they really good in bed?
It's very simple. Go onto Craigslist and look at, casual whatever, men looking for men and just, cruise through there because it's nuts. There are a lot of guys out there who are married looking, to get time with other guys
who are secretly bi.
Yeah, but they would. But no. They are not secretly bi. They're all straight, but they're just looking for dick.
Really? And what are they, tops or bottoms, or it's mixed?
It just depends. There's a lot. I'm surprised at how many bottoms there are. Or like, I want to try this bottom. I'm finally,
Really?
Yeah.
Is it really? So I'm so fascinated by this.
Now, is that more? Are you surprised that there's more
here's another
bottoms than tops? Like, I don't get that.
Here's another reason to check out Craigslist. Mine it for comedic. All right, we want to take a moment to talk about Death Wish Coffee. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, do yourself a favor and get over to deathwishcoffee.com. And there you can buy the strongest coffee known to man without a prescription.
The world's strongest coffee ever.
Yes, as proudly displayed on my wife's sweatshirt over there.
Yes, on my body, on my mug,
yes,
on my
K-cups.
K-cups.
Yes, and you'll know them by their telling sign of the skull and crossbones.
It's
that tells
so
you
good.
Exactly what you're in for. It's that used to be the international symbol for poison, but now it is the symbol for good damn coffee.
It's awesome. Without milk, with milk, you don't really need it because it's strong.
But
it's
not bitter?
Not bitter. So you don't even need milk. You don't even need sugar, but you can add it if you'd like. It's just really, really the perfect, strongest, most awesome coffee.
Become a junkie of Death Wish, just like the Anderson Council. And
we got them hooked.
Again, deathwishcoffee.com. Thank you very much.
Enjoy it.
I want to take this time to mention to you www.audibletrial.com/ThatMan on Fatman. That's right, www.audibletrial.com/ThatMan on Fatman. That's one word, conjunctified. Go there, sign up for your free 30-day free trial. Sign up, get a free book, a free audio book, because you don't have to go through no tedious reading. You don't have to turn no fucking pages. You don't have to do any of that bullshit. You get in your car, you put on your headphones, and you are listening to a book. You're taking a magical journey into a fictitious land. You're expanding your mind, all when you're stuck in traffic. Fucking amazing. Audiobooks. These are the wave of the future. And you can get in for free for 30 days. A free trial. And when you get your free trial, you can download a copy of Tough Shit by our Savior, Kevin Smith. That's right. Our Lord and Savior, Kevin Smith, has left words for us to follow in our lives, and we can get it for free just by signing up to audibletrial.com/ThatMan on Fatman. That's right. audibletrial.com/ThatMan on Fatman. Thank you. Please sign up. You'll be very happy you did. Material.
Oh my God,
I swear
Stacey.
to Christ.
Oh God! I have a funny story. So I'm trying to rent out my office space right in my front room, right? And I have an extra room in my apartment. I'm trying to rent. So this guy, I don't want to have a male. I decided. So unless it's like my really good friend, like is my comedy friend or is a comedian, I could probably deal with it. But I can't deal with like a strange guy in the house.
Yeah.
You know, just because I walk around naked all the time. So
totally got it. And you're
I
so,
do. I'm like,
and
I'm
you're
like,
so
naked.
You're so.
I have to realize that, and I'm like not very like private. So anyway, I am too. Wow. You know, like I'm not like I'm pretty like much an open book. So
and you're like amazingly hot.
Yeah,
so.
you are. You're a very sexy
woman.
Thank
you. I'm so flattered.
You're
Oh my God. You jump off the fucking...
And I send like hearts to you all the time.
I love you guys. Crazy. You guys are the best. I love you guys. I'm like so like shy. I'm very shy. I'm very insecure too.
No,
you're it shouldn't be.
Yeah,
and I'm a horrible dater. Like I'm horrible at dating. I haven't had a boyfriend in like 4 years. Like I see people, but I don't.
Do you
really
date couples at all?
I don't date anybody. Yeah, like I'm terrible. I'm like so like into my own like.
It can't be any worse.
I had a terrible year. No, I never dated anybody actually. I don't. Yeah, like I haven't. I go on dates here and there, and I was seeing somebody for a while, but yeah, it was weird. Like I think I was just dating a bi guy actually.
Oh,
but
there was something bi about. I couldn't explain it, but I don't know why I thought he was bi. I just got this bad.
Here's another. I take a firm stance on this as a bi guy.
Okay.
You women have to stop giving guys three-ways unless they are willing to do the same for you first.
Oh, I never did a three-way, so I don't know.
Yeah, but like that seems to be the thing. All these straight girls go by with a chick for their boyfriend or husband, but they know he will never do that shit for them.
That's true. Yeah.
So why the fuck? Just get together by yourselves, girls. Forget the guy. You don't need him.
That's so. So you mean like a lot of women want that, and the men won't do it, but they'll be with other
No,
women.
it's more like the guy wants two girls, and so
course,
the
yeah,
woman will always buckle for the guy, even though he's not willing to do this. He's not willing to suck a dick for her, but he wants her to eat pussy.
Right, but even if she's not into it, like if she's
I would assume if you know guys, probably browbeat her into it. You should eat a pussy, honey. It'd be great, just like Trump.
I think the issue is, and this is what I'm fine. Like men are being spoiled, and I'm not. This is being not being sexist. I
agree wholeheartedly.
And with the age of the internet, they can watch any kind of porn they want. Women have like become very disposable to men. I think with the Tinder and all these apps that you swipe through fast. And I mean, I'm not saying that women aren't the same way with men, but I just feel like because in the way the hunter and the gatherer thing, like that thing is still going on. There's like that.
Right. Well, and look at our president, grab him by the pussy, like the way.
Yeah.
They're
Well, of
treated.
late there has definitely been some sort of like ignorance backlash.
Yeah, and then very like, oh, it's okay, I can say that.
And I'm hoping
apologize.
it's the dying last gasp, of
it's horrible.
ignorant, racist, sexist,
Yeah.
homophobic, 20th century thinking.
Right. Right.
How did that come back? Because it was starting to go away a little bit. Like,
Trump.
Yeah, but how could a president? You're giving him a lot of power. Like change people's like morality. I get, but I'm thinking, but look at the Nazis. So there you go.
Exactly.
Right. All those people were bad people. That all the Nazis were. That's a lot of bad people.
As we talk to you, we're like, it's like up on the big screen
it
here.
Really is.
The riots and the tear gas and the beating each other.
It's like not 1945. Like what the hell's going on here?
No,
I mean, this is not our country anymore. This should not be our country anymore.
So what happens when you elect a Russian puppet? Or actually, you don't elect a Russian puppet.
He steals the
election.
election.
I keep forgetting.
He stole it.
Yeah, we didn't really elect him.
But was this all hidden anger? Like this racism and hate, was this all hidden? Like that's the other thing I'm thinking of. Like where these people just pop up from? Have they been existing in our society hating this much that they're going to march, unmasked? At least the KKK had their face open, lose their jobs.
A lot of them are unmasked.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's like all kinds of craziness going on.
Well, I hope they all get fired. Every single one.
Me too. I do too. Absolutely.
Okay, now I like what this guy says a lot, but like I don't understand why he only talks out of one side of his face.
And he looks really scared. Like he looks very. This
one
gentleman
of
on
these
the TV.
commentators. You might know him. I don't know. You know all the circuits
I'm
now.
curious. I want to hear about the Stacey Prussman hour.
Yes.
Can you tell us?
Yeah.
about
Why don't you? Yeah. Let's get some plugs in for you.
Yeah, because I want to hear talk
why
about.
Not plug?
Yeah.
It's a podcast. I've been doing it for a few years. I'm doing it much more regularly. You guys have to come on.
I'd love to.
That'd be awesome.
I do it on Mondays.
I'd love that.
And like Monday nights, I've been trying to do it. I can do it other nights too, but it's me and a bunch of I've been doing it with like different people, like my friend Angela Riley and comedian Blake Carter, and they kind of co-host with me sometimes, and like they've really been great. And Mike Buschetti used to co-host with me.
Oh,
and
Mike Buschetti,
yeah,
so
different
sweet.
people come in and out. Yeah, different people come in and out, and we have guests. I've actually went to the Kumia Studios and actually interviewed Anthony when I started the second year of the podcast. He was on it. I actually let me use his studio, so I have video of that.
Now I say that politically, we're not really aligned, but well, first of all, I love that O&A back in the day, but he has been so supportive of the podcast movie project that we can't.
Yeah, he's so nice.
He's such a good, and I would never. Like when I some of the stuff he says, I would like never like hang out with him and like talk. But, I mean, we could talk, but I wouldn't talk politics at all. But I think he's funny. But he's so nice.
Yeah.
And like he's very like just like a nice guy. Like, and I would never have thought that before. Like I would have thought he was a dick.
No,
Seriously.
you wouldn't have.
No, I would have if I had never met him and talked to him.
Well, of late.
Yeah.
He's gotten more off the rails of late.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Levy in that way.
I think he likes. I'm not speaking for him, but maybe he likes pushing the envelope.
Yeah, he's like a shock. Yeah,
but that to do that. I mean, I did say something funny to him, and I think he got it, but I was like, man, I feel bad for you. He's like, why? I said, because Trump is the hill you have to die on. And I know you're smarter than that.
That's great. The thing is, I don't understand why people at this point, like if you voted for him for whatever reason, that's fine. But like I don't understand why they don't see he's just an idiot. Forget about politically. It's like there's no political ideology behind him.
That's so true. Yeah. See, but that's the thing. They're not going to admit, like, most people will not admit that he's, that they chose the wrong guy. Like, they just won't. Yeah. Well, I voted for him because of that money.
It's that ego. It's that ego. It's admitting they were wrong, which is what Trump, in and of himself, has a problem doing.
Yeah, because if he does, that means he's a loser. And that's his worst fear.
So ridiculous.
I know,
and he won't. He's not as rich as people. That's the big thing.
Yeah, he's probably in debt, like out his asshole.
Oh yeah, to Russia.
That's why we can't see his
they're going to see him. They're going to see him now.
I want to see that shit all over the
Well, the IRS knows, right? Doesn't the IRS know? I mean, they're...
Yeah.
I mean, but the IRS knows what's going on.
Now, can the IRS be subpoenaed and they have to give it up? Probably.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But as soon as he became president, apparently they do a lot of special things with all his... Not just any president, like they take all those... his tax returns,
his documents.
And they get special. They get put in a special file, and they're where they do
golden
need
box.
Pretty much, yeah.
The golden Trump box.
The golden president box.
Yeah. Ugh.
It has nothing to do with
I
him.
hate that he gets special treatment in anything. He should get special treatment in fucking jail.
And he called the White House a dump.
It has to backfire. There's no way he's going to go.
Yeah, and he calls the White House a dump.
Whatever you think, it's not going to end peacefully.
No.
You just feel it energetically. Something's going to all fall down.
He's going to be impeached.
I mean, if they remove him from office, the FBI just comes in and takes him.
Yeah,
I mean, if he tries to go to work.
Yeah, and I want all
That's
of this.
how that works.
I want all of this.
When you get fired from a job and they make you leave that day.
Yes.
Like, security guard.
And they make you pack up all your stuff.
Remember back in the day when Clinton was involved, the FBI showed up and he was given blood, and that was that.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
He didn't even do anything. He just got a blowjob.
I mean, really, Stacey, thank you.
So
a blowjob, really?
And I hate when but Hillary did this, but Obama did this, but sometimes I just wish George Bush was president again.
I know.
I swear to God.
Me too.
Like when I think, I really do.
Back to the good old days.
And he was a total doofus. Yeah, total doofus. But at least he was funny.
I don't know, though. How much of a doofus was he when he was at the Trump inauguration? He was like, that was crazy shit. Or something like that was what he said.
Like the rain slicker was all over his head. He didn't know what the fuck was going on.
And Michelle Obama's always like taking care of him.
I know, like his little mom, like patting him like a little dog.
See, now that's a sitcom right there.
That is
a sitcom. The Obamas and the Bushes.
You don't realize like how much you miss Bush when you have Trump. It's weird.
I know.
But, well, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense that it's only going to get progressively worse, right? Because
why? Because Bush was civilized. That's the difference.
The way it worked was, and
rhetoric was civilized.
Yeah, he didn't have a rhetoric. Right.
And Trump was always sort of the Republicans' id. You know what I mean? Like,
right, but he wasn't a Republican. He was a Democrat at some point.
Yeah, but not since Obama came to office.
The shit that's coming up onto the surface about all these like congressmen, the Republican, all of this shit is coming up, and now you're starting to see who they really are, how much hate they have, because you really didn't see it.
Mitch McConnell, whatever his fucking
oh my God, Trump is bringing out the worst in all these guys. Ooh,
actually, it's nuts. It's chaos even
there.
What's
the deal with Pence? My friend and I were talking. I'm like, well, would Pence be better? Like, people hate him.
I think
they're
Pence,
terrified.
Pence is horrible. Pence is horrible, but here's why Pence would be better. Because he's normal crazy as opposed to Trump, who's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I think he really...
I also think Pence is beatable.
I think he might have his Christian values, like, even though he's a homophobe, not...
He's a total...
He might actually really believe in Jesus,
he's a
so
fucking
that might be a good thing.
Yeah,
but I think that, I wouldn't... I'd love to see his browser history, that's
I'd love
for sure.
to see him not
I'm sure it's
watching.
loaded with gay porn.
I think he was like... He looks like he was one of those camps that make you straight.
Oh, my God.
Like, he looks like there's something he's struggled with.
Doesn't he? And his wife won't let him eat lunch with another woman without her being there, or he will not. I guess it's an agreement they have. He's not able to eat or be with another woman without her being there.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of weirdness.
Like, why?
Going
like
on.
You're not able to be a human being with someone. You have to.
There's something. Yeah, there's something odd sexually. They're repressed.
Right. It's an odd, right? It's an odd sexual thing, but this never was like kind of delved into. It's very fascinating.
You know what the 25th Amendment to the Constitution is, right?
No.
What it would do is it gives powers to the vice president so long as he can get the unanimous decision of the cabinet to essentially just remove Trump from power and make vice president president.
Right.
It's not even an impeachment. It's like it's like super impeachment, if you will.
Right.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
And they built it, in the 70s when they realized, like, oh, people can get Alzheimer's disease. You know, there's all kinds of reasons why, in a pinch, we may have to remove somebody quickly.
Age, but this is too old.
Who the fuck wants
Who
the hell wants a 70-year-old president? I the fuck don't.
So the question is, you know, is there the quiet cabal going on in the background?
I definitely think so.
Because Pence has been quite quiet.
Yeah.
And they're also saying, oh, he might be running for president in 2020.
Well, and the thing is, too, if president didn't legally win, then Pence is out, too. Like, I just feel like the whole thing is a sham. And
then that's anarchy. That's the other thing that's scary.
Well, and that's a constitutional crisis.
Then there's total anarchy, and we're really fucked.
Right.
Because then we can be overtaken. So, like, it's almost like we have to hold it up correctly with Congress. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I do. Like, just impeach, let Pence, because Pence at least could speak, and he's not going to. He's not
and
violent.
He's beatable.
His language isn't violent. Even the way he handled Hamilton was, I think, okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
When they were booing him at Hamilton, he handled it very gracefully, I thought.
Yeah. Presidentially?
Right. Yeah, presidentially. Hello.
Yeah.
God, I mean,
whatever
really?
you want to call it. He didn't. He handled. Oh my God, that guy could represent us for a year or two. I'm not worried. You know, like that's what I felt like. And then poor McCain is going to Senate.
God, poor McCain.
See, but the problem is, here's the thing. Now, if my theory is correct, and in fact they do find evidence that Trump colluded and that the Russians actually fixed the election somehow, then everything is null and void, and we are in the biggest constitutional crisis we've ever faced. Because then,
anarchy.
Because okay, that would mean that guess who would be president most likely, and we don't even know that, but Paul Ryan may be the president. Because
oh my God.
Yeah, I know, because you'd have to strip back, because the vice president was part of the presidential ticket. If he was voted in illegally, then so was the vice president, so he doesn't count. That means Paul Ryan's next.
But then, that's going to be also weird.
Also, if the election was fixed, then Hillary Clinton has a claim to say, I fucking won.
Fucking Hillary.
Oh, God.
You go, girl.
Exactly. Then we are in a constitutional crisis. And here's the other thing. And then here's the other thing. Then it has to go to the Supreme Court, which has on it a judge that Trump put on it.
And he's not valid.
Exactly.
Right.
Which means he needs to be impeached or step down.
And this is very possible. This could happen.
Yeah, it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I want fucking Hillary in that White House, and I want her there now.
We might have a civil war.
I've been watching this fucking Trump thing for way too long.
We could actually divide our nation.
I know.
You know,
fucked up. This whole thing is fucked up.
That's when the thing is. Then we're vulnerable. See, once that happens, we're vulnerable to Russia and Korea and all these places that want to kill us. We're fucked either way.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we're not because we're not united.
Exactly.
They're
we're
seeing
divided and conquered.
They're seeing us spinning around.
We need to survive
because this whole thing was a Putin exercise to weaken America's standing in the world.
And this white supremacist stuff. Putin is looking at this saying, see, they're fighting. They're fighting each other.
And you want to know what's weird? They all like Russia, the white supremacists.
It's so
they're all in bed. They're all
and they're communists. Like
no, they're not. They're actually authoritarians.
It's all the authority.
There's no communism left in fucking.
Why would anybody want to be led by a dictator or authoritarian? Like, why would anybody want that? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, it's so like weird. Like, oh, I'm a patriot, and then they're like, they want a dictator president. They should be following the Constitution to the hilt.
They don't want anybody to receive. They don't want anything. They're very.
Who's they?
I'm talking about the white supremacists.
Ah, yes, okay.
They look.
They don't even know what they want.
They
exactly.
They don't know what the fuck they want. They're just a bunch of racist.
Yeah, that's true.
Stupid retards.
They want white supremacy back. They want, what they felt like they've always had.
Right. Anything black people are getting, they just think that's wrong, and they should be getting everything.
Now, where did you stand? I'm a Jew. Where do I stand? They hate me too. Like, I don't know where I stand because
you're different.
Trump is.
Oh, you're worse because you know why? They can't see you immediately.
Well, they can, but once they see my nose, but I'm just kidding.
Really?
Oh my God,
I don't
no!
think so.
I think you know what, Stacey. I think you're beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm gonna honestly tell you. I think you're a beautiful woman.
I mean, I'm a Jew, and I'm a New York, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not white. You can
I think the Jew might put you up a couple notches.
Yeah, especially to us. We
Jewish girls or something about that.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are nice. I'm saying.
There's a lot in the community too, if you will.
Well, there are people.
They're going to kill us because we're so Jewy. Like, what are they going to do? Like,
well, you guys run everything. That's why.
We don't.
I know.
That's
Nobody does.
It's very scary. It's very scary. I don't even think these white supremacists know what the hell's. They're not smart people. Like, these aren't like the geniuses.
Right.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Not most of them aren't. Maybe the leaders might be.
They're rocket
If
scientists.
that.
Did we cut you off in your plug because we've drifted back into racism?
Listen to the Prussman Hour. You can find it on iTunes.
We'd love to be on, by the way. That's no problem.
Yeah, come on it. I'll book maybe the next 2 weeks. This week's totally booked up, but next week or the week after, we have like a pizza party. That's a new thing we've been doing.
Oh.
We've been like making food. I've been doing it Monday nights. So we've been having like pizza and beer and wine and whatever you want to drink. If you don't drink, I don't know if you drink or not, but we've been making it like a party. So it's been really fun.
Cool. That sounds fun.
Fun because we've been having like these little parties in my house and like
fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have this like big apartment.
Are you on Staten Island?
No, she's
no.
In the
I
city.
live in Forest Hills. I live in Queens.
Oh,
Where do you guys?
Queens.
You're in Jersey.
We're in Jersey, yes, but I was originally from Middle Village.
Oh, okay. So I'm in Forest Hills, lovely Forest Hills. I've been living here for like 5 years. I love it.
We're going to be in Astoria in a couple weeks to Keith and the Girl.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
cool.
we're actually going to their studio because we're recording our other show with Chemda and Hennessy. So we're going to be doing
wonderful.
that.
I've heard of Keith and the Girl, but I've never done it before.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they've been on for like 12 years.
Yeah, I'm going to give.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I should call them and see if I can get on. I never even knew that they had a show.
I'll do you one better. I'll let them know. I'll let them know.
Yeah.
You just talk to Stacey. You get her on because she's awesome and funny.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
We're getting so political today. It's so political.
know.
We talked about bisexuals, and then we talked about.
I know, right?
Well, how can you not? Again, in the age of Trump, it's so hard not to. We didn't even talk about Kevin at all. We threw him in as a non sequitur.
So what about Kevin?
Have you ever met Kevin?
No, I never met Kevin, but I did see his movie. I loved Clerks. That was my first movie I ever loved. I love that movie so much.
Me too.
I met Brian. I met Brian for the first time.
Brian O'Halloran. Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, but yeah, I haven't even thought about Kevin in years until you guys had this podcast.
Well, you'd be surprised because he is, like crazy, blowing up all over the internet.
Really is.
Like,
He is.
He's an underground sort of success,
and a lot of comedy. I mean, he's doing like his podcasts are, like he's
I love him.
Yeah.
And
that's great.
It was sort of like, it was weird. I was in a downturn in my life, and like I read his book, and there was this section of the book where it just said, what the fuck are you doing? Moping. If I can do this shit, anybody can, kind of.
Yeah.
And it just hit me at the right time, at the right place, and
Right.
it got.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then
You
it got me.
motivated.
I'm like, I can
Right, it's
podcast. I can do
motivation.
this shit.
Positive. Yeah.
And so I started, and then after like a year or so, I was like, my podcast partner was getting sick of me always talking about Kevin. So I was like, I'll start my own show and just talk about that, and that'll get it out of my system.
The guy who inspired you all the time.
And that became bigger than the original show. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So has Kevin been on your show yet?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
Oh, good.
It's
That's
funny
awesome.
too because he was in town last week, and I sent him an email. I'm like, dude, I hear you're in town this week. If you want to stop by, we'd love to have you again. And then lo and behold, he hits me back. He's like, I'm already back.
Oh my God! Like how
he was
did you
already
get
in
that?
L.A.
It's like you blink your eyes and you're you're already in L.A.
Yeah,
already.
he's back and
Jesus
forth like
Christ,
crazy.
How does he do that?
Yeah.
He must be like
That's
a
so
walking
funny.
zombie.
Because he's gonna be.
You have to
he's back
travel
now.
back at night. That's how you do it.
Yes.
I used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
I used to go
Yeah,
left
'cause we're
to
seeing
right
him
all the
tomorrow.
time.
Yeah, we're seeing him tomorrow. So he.
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, there's another premiere of Shooting Clerks, which is this movie,
wow.
which is about the making of Clerks.
Yeah, it's a biopic about Kevin making the movie.
Actually,
that's awesome.
in it, I get to play Howard Stern.
Oh my God, isn't that crazy?
Oh, you do? That's awesome.
Yeah. It's only for. I mean, like it's it's a very quick scene. It's a blink but you'll miss. But last screening or not the last the big screening.
Yeah. Back in November.
No, just last
yeah,
Saturday.
last Saturday. That's right.
There was a definite audible response when Howard was on the screen. So
Oh
I was
my
like,
God,
That's great.
yes.
So.
And you know
That's
what? When we
awesome.
actually
That's so-
recorded that, because we recorded that here, we had Michael, who's
we filmed that here.
we
yes,
actually
we filmed that scene.
like we
yes,
filmed
in
the
this
scene
studio.
here. We had the DP from the movie here, and I was feeding Scott lines. It was so much fun,
Yeah.
and it took a while.
Yeah, it took
but
a-
I could totally see why. Like
Yeah.
even like 3 or 4 lines, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. Well,
you have to
you
memorize.
get all
It's a lot of work,
nervous
yeah.
and you want to say it so it doesn't
And-
sound fake.
Right, and you're like you have the wig, and you want to look right, and so it's a very
And the lights and
it's
everything
very
else,
like
yep.
anxiety producing. I mean,
Yeah,
but it
Making movies is like I like doing theater. Like I've been doing acting since I'm a kid.
Uh-huh.
Like making movies is exhausting to me. Like
Yeah.
I love it. Like I have a part and I love it.
Yeah,
But like it's not. It's like it's very much. It's so technical. It's
Right.
not like
You don't-
acting like you're acting in the theater. You know,
Yeah,
it's
you
very-
don't think about
Yeah.
it until you're actually there.
right.
Actors have to act into the camera. You know what
Right.
I mean? They're not
Right.
acting to
Mark,
people a
you have
lot.
those stupid marks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And another thing is cool though that I kind of like about it is, it ultimately only matters what's in frame.
Oh yeah.
Everything else can be falling apart. It does not
Yeah,
matter.
exactly.
It'd be like a total disaster.
It's an illusion. It's
Yeah,
an illusion.
it very much is. So I love that about
it's
it.
So true.
So when's the podcast movie coming out? I'm excited about it. It was so much fun.
We're deep in editing. We were hoping for September, but we'll see. I'm glad that my editor is. I'm glad we have an editor.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
really the big part now. So we should be looking at a cut very soon in the next couple of weeks.
Cool. That's exciting. Are you going to have like a premiere?
Well, yeah, when it's finally ready, yes,
oh my
we
God.
will.
Yes,
we'll be doing all that.
And
that
you'll
fun
get a
stuff.
message, you'll get an invitation, and you'll get
Oh,
everything.
cool.
Yes.
That's exciting.
It is.
Because that was a
Very
great
exciting.
idea because everyone's, there's so many, I did so many, I actually did Jay Moore's podcast twice, but he
Love
never
Jay
aired
Moore.
it. 'Cause I think, which is so weird because it didn't, he had technical difficulties.
I love Jay
I've had
Moore.
only one so
And
far.
I went to his house. He was so nice. And like me and Mike went twice and it was really, really fun. I did like so many people's podcasts over the years. It's so weird. And I'm like, what, like, it's like, and I did radio shows. I did a lot of serious stuff. So it was like, it all feels the same almost, but it's not,
It's blown up though, because just in the 2 years since we started filming,
right?
Like it felt like the What's a Podcast title, was, still made sense.
Right.
Now it doesn't.
Because people pretty much know what it is now.
Yeah, exactly. It's nuts.
So are you changing the title?
We may. We'll see what happens.
I don't know. It still has it still has a meaning just because if you
we may
what's
even
a
make
podcast?
that,
like, what is it really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, what does it mean to you? Kind of more of an individual thing.
But-
So I mean, it still has a meaning to it.
Yeah, and then with like the Kumi is not really a podcast. It's not really like what is that? That's like a whole.
It's a video cast.
Yeah, it's a video cast. Yeah,
right.
Or
that's
a
a new thing.
vidcast.
Oh my God, they've been so
But
good.
to me,
Like,
I really see them the same because everything is sort of. If you've noticed, if you pay attention to the trends. Like anyone who has a podcast now usually also puts out a YouTube.
Facebook Lives it or YouTube it.
Yeah,
right.
And
I don't, but I should.
Yeah, one of the good reasons to do it, why we started doing it, if only if it's just an audio and a picture, is archive. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's free. It's a free archive system.
and people
with YouTube.
like to see you.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that because I pay that stupid money every month.
Yeah. And if you stop paying, boom, everything goes away. But if
I have to buy with Podomatic. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, if you have your
Yeah.
YouTube, we do Podbean, which is the same
They're
thing.
a fortune. The other one I'm using is not. Like it's $10 a month, and they were like $200 a month, whatever.
Oh,
a year,
God.
They keep trying to get me back, but I'm like, I'm not paying. I can, I have to. I didn't think about that. I should audio. I have to transfer everything to YouTube, and I could have a whole Stacey Prussman hour. Yeah, I have some great stuff. It'd be so much fun. I might do a video component now because everyone's asking me to do it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Run a camera. Well, hey, now you're doing that now. See, exactly. Everything sort of comes together.
Well, I was on Shovio. Leslie Gold owned Shovio. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's actually, I think her studio was near where Anthony does it. Maybe it was like right near there.
Okay.
She actually does a show with Kemda's husband.
Oh, okay.
Hennessy.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, this is like a while ago, and
Wow.
they owned the. It was like one of the first video cast networks.
Okay, yeah.
No, actually, Chauncey owned it. IATA. Chauncey Caden had IATA.com, which was the first podcast video thing.
I think
I was on that his show years ago.
Who the
right
heck
after Howard.
Someone talked about this. Like you would come in and you would just pay and they would do it.
No, IATA was like a studio.
Yeah.
Like it was a big studio on 57th Street. It was gorgeous. And
okay. Maybe I did.
it was called IATA.com. I remember, I don't know if you pay, I don't know what it was, but I remember like maybe some people paid, but Chauncey I think Chauncey owned it. I'm not sure. I think he was a general manager, owned it.
Uh-huh.
And it was like the first video podcasting thing before podcasts were big, before internet radio, before Sirius.
Yeah.
And then Shovio was like one of the first that did that too.
Yeah.
But then they closed that down. I was on a show there, and then now everyone's doing it with Facebook Live and all that stuff.
Yeah. To me, we got into.
It makes sense. I mean,
It was like it's Wild West. Go and claim your space now while you can.
That's
Establish yourself.
If you have
what do you got to
pretty
lose?
much. It's relatively free.
Well, it may cost you, but if you're smart, you'll know how to pay yourself back.
Right.
And maybe make some money.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, I think that if you're consistent with your podcast, this is what I'm learning, or you're consistent, then people will stay with you.
Yeah. or if you have a niche audience, like I mean, that's sort of what we do. I mean,
like we haven't, and then
we're
another
talking
show
to
too.
very specific.
Right.
You know, if you like Kevin, there's a good chance you'll like what we do too.
Right. And if
Well, the thing that's interesting is that I'm a big Kate Bush fan. Like, I think we talked about this. Did we talk about this?
No.
Maybe
well,
in the
kind of on
podcast.
Facebook a little bit.
Yeah,
Because because I like Kate Bush too.
And there's a podcast on Kate Bush, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to listen to it.
Oh my God, is that really?
Yeah, I said I want to be a guest on it because I'm like I want to talk about it. Like I have no one to talk to about Kate Bush about. And I'm like I'm gonna meet all these fans. Like I'm like, and I don't meet a lot of Kate fans. You know what I'm saying?
It's so interesting
like,
because like you just said that, but like. Now that I think about it, I can't think of a podcast that I've ever gone and looked for around my interests, other than podcasting, if you will. You know, I've listened to podcasts on podcasting, but
Well, I listen to my friend's podcast, but that's it. But I never listen to my interests. I'm like, that's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, Kevin, obviously, but that's all.
But that's a really cool thing because you could pretty much say, okay, I'm into like quilting or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could find a
I'm
podcast.
sure there's like 10,000.
Or like exercise or whatever, art. I mean, there's tons of them.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I never thought about that. Yeah. So there's like this millions
and
of
we do
different
this
podcasts.
like every week.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about it. And that's the horrible thing about it, because what's happening is if you don't have a niche message, if you haven't claimed your space, if you haven't put yourself out there, it's getting harder and harder because it's becoming you're just lost in a sea of din. Yeah, you'll just get drowned out by 10,000 other podcasts. I mean, the cream will always rise.
I know.
A good idea. I'm like, guys, we fucked. There you go. Great name and good delivery.
Right.
Right. They're doing great. Those.
Oh my God, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm so proud of them. And they were one of the first people we interviewed for the movie.
And exactly.
Oh, really?
They changed. We've watched them
we actually circled back with them because we wanted to, kind of, wow, you've blown up since we originally interviewed you. What's life been like? And it's amazing. Michael, our DP, said it best. He's like, success fits very well. It sits very well on them.
Right.
They were much more relaxed. They were much more, you could just tell.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
There definitely was like a transformation.
Were they able to, was it the name of the podcast that kind of got them moving forward, do you think?
I think that was a big help, but also that subject.
They were very relatable, and they were very relatable.
Slut shaming right now is a very big subject.
Right.
You have, what's his name? John Ronson, who did a shaming book about internet shaming.
All that stuff.
Yeah, Amber Rose, all these people. So, yeah.
What's the deal? What's the deal with slut shaming? Like, I don't. And that's like that was so Seinfeld. What's the deal with slut shaming?
I think what they're saying is, it's the double standard. Guys can fuck anybody they want. It's not a big deal. But if women act the same way, which they do, because sexual human behavior is the same,
right?
They get shamed for it.
They're called sluts and whores.
Yeah, or if they dress provocative, they're sluts and whores. Yeah, so it makes sense to me.
In 2017, still.
Yes.
It's so weird. Like I think
so
that, but I think that you try to break the stereotypes, but there's also an innate type of views of women too that men have had because they're parents and
Madonna and whore if you're Catholic.
Yep.
Really, Madonna whore. Yeah, I mean a lot of guys that do that, Madonna whoring me.
Yeah.
So I always have issues with men. I never know I'll meet somebody and kind of like them. This is a couple of months ago I met somebody, I was dating them. I went on 6 dates with them. And then we didn't have sex. I didn't really feel comfortable having sex with them. I fooled around. I went to third base. Anyway. But
tell me.
But I didn't want to
now what is third? Does third count as oral? Or is it all just
to me it's oral.
Okay, so
second is anything touching.
Okay, see. This is different than back in high school it was very different.
I define it and third is oral to me, and fourth is in penetration.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Home run.
And fifth is
what's a grand
anal.
slam? I guess that's anal.
I don't know.
Yeah, fifth is the bench is anal. Anyway, so
the bench.
The bench. Grand slam.
Well, yeah. Well, you have to go all the way around the bases, and you have to sit down.
Ah, yes, that's true. Yeah. I don't think you can sit down on the bench after anal. I
you
think
have to
that's
bend
the point.
over the bench.
Yeah. You can't sit on the bench. You're benchless. So I didn't know. I liked the guy, but I didn't know if I didn't really. We were kissing and I was attracted, but I didn't we weren't trying to. I don't know. It was a weird I fooled around with him because I felt like it was the time to fool around with him. Does that make sense? But it doesn't really. But it wasn't like I didn't want to. It just wasn't like it was like not going there. It was weird.
It was almost like a robotic thing, kind of maybe.
You were going through the motions,
right? And then he ghosted me. So anyway, that was a weird.
Oh, what a jerk!
He split.
Yeah, they
Wait,
don't.
a
like,
guy
he
left
just
you.
Literally, he was a guy in his 50s.
Wait, he left you. You're right. Nah, you're lying.
He goes, had a great time last night, and then never messaged me again. And I never messaged. It was weird. It was like really. We had a good time. Like,
That's
we had
ridiculous.
A really good time.
You're fucking hot. I think you.
I know.
I don't know. I don't know if he was seeing other people. I don't know. It was just very. Everything felt very like.
Maybe he's married.
He wasn't married. I know that for a fact.
Right.
Or he could be whatever.
50. That'd be.
He just like was so he was really busy. He had a very busy life, but the thing was
maybe
was
it's
really
just a dick.
bizarre.
Those busy 50-year-olds. Was it Jackie Joke Man?
It was a weird situation.
Was it Jackie?
Like,
was it Jackie Joke Man? Admit it. It was Jackie Joke Man, wasn't it?
No, because I would have called him out. On that.
Where did he touch you? Show me on the doll where he touched you. No.
Jackie the Joke.
It was
Man.
Jackie. I'd be like, "You ghost me, I'll fucking haunt you. I'll put that chandelier on your head." You know? But I mean, it was a weird. I'm like, at least like break up with me and say like I don't think it's working out. Like,
yeah, you're 50 for God's sake. You don't even know how to do it.
51 or 52.
51. He couldn't say sorry. I just need time.
He couldn't even send you a Vine.
Yeah, couldn't send anything.
No, he didn't send me anything. We weren't even friends on social media. I haven't. I mean, this was a couple of months ago, but it was just weird. It was very, very weird. I'm like, are people doing this now? Because I was like, would break up with somebody.
Welcome to Singleville.
That's
population you.
That's what they do. They ghost people. That's very common now.
Because I've told people like I've gone out and like I don't think it's going to work out, and that's fine. At least I said I don't think this is a good match, and like that's fine. Like I've got, but take me out like 7 times. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like it's like you went. If you didn't like me, it's fine. I can deal with it.
But like, didn't you realize you didn't like me the 5th time we went out? I mean, I just
right.
It's weird.
I think I really think sex was. I think the physical. He wanted to be physical with me, and that was like he played a game. That's what I think happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it was like a high school student.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Like if you don't get to go, I don't know what it is about that. Like as people that date,
right?
We've encountered that. Like, if you give the sign that, it's like, dude, why should we tell you that we're going to fuck you on a first date? We might not want to, dummy.
Well, that's the thing. Right. And then if you say that, it's like a done deal. Like,
they're out. Oh,
yeah.
What? You're not a full swap couple? We're out of here.
Yeah, it's like, well, you knew that before.
You might be a full scumbag couple, so we wouldn't want to be a full swap couple.
It's true. It's just not like people. You have to be open to.
It's weird.
Okay.
It's like we say we're polyamorous in a world of swingers. So it's nuts.
Oh, what's the difference?
We classify it as swingers will fuck anything that moves at a party.
Well,
they're very little discretion.
It's
very
a little less discretion.
Okay,
yeah.
I got you. They'll just like put their dick in anything, like one of those clubs, those swinger clubs,
or their vagina.
And we really are more about relationships and liking the people and having extended, ongoing
No, you're more like
friendships
and mental, right? Just like let's fuck it, like let's have.
Although that's great too, but
Yeah, but you have a friendship with the person.
Yeah,
and you care
exactly.
About
you care about them. You have.
See, I used to be able to have more casual sex than I did, a couple of years ago. But like now, it's like I really don't feel most of the people I've been with have been people I'm really good friends with, or people I've been dating. Like I haven't really been able to have sex with like random people. I mean that not even if, like
That's
I mean,
okay.
and I'm random. I don't mean like one night stands. I mean like someone I don't know.
We get a few of those.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's weird because being someone's random stranger is always a little weird.
Yeah.
But, especially because like wow, usually those are the hotter ones.
Yeah.
Right.
They're just like
the random stranger.
Yeah, but you don't know they're a random stranger. They never let on until after they're gone, and they ghost, as you say.
And that's happened.
Yes, usually with girls too.
Yeah.
Really?
The ones I'm thinking of were girls. Yeah.
Me too. I think we're thinking the same people.
2 people.
I think it's weird when people act like they want to be in a normal relationship and then they go that's weird to me. Like normal being like a one-on-one situation, and then they like just like I'd rather someone
standard
say,
monogamy.
Yeah, or something like that, or somewhat like that. But whatever, even if they're dating other people, like I just don't think if you start to hang out with somebody like I don't, and you just like ignore. Like I don't like abandonment, like that. I don't deal with well.
Yeah,
I guess no
either.
one does, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm very, very sensitive. Like I'm a very sensitive person, so like I'm very like careful with myself, you know what I'm saying? Because I know that I can get like, you know, I'm also an empath.
Right.
So I feel other people's feelings, and it's very, very strong. Like I feel their pain, I feel their love, I feel everything, you know.
Right.
So I have to be very protective of myself.
Right.
And
So you're like,
you're
like, what's her name? You're like
Oh
the
my
counselor
God.
on Next Generation, Star Trek
Yeah.
Next Generation.
Oh, really? She's an empath.
She was an empath. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can read people, and I've said to people, I'm a medical empath. I never told, you know, I could see people's, like, if I don't know someone that well, I could tell them what's wrong with them. I diagnosed my friend over the phone, and I saved his life.
Wow.
What'd you diagnose him with?
He had, I don't know. You'd realize I don't have
Ass
any,
cancer.
No, he had gallbladder.
Ooh.
And I don't know anything about the gallbladder. I don't, you know, no one in my family, thank God, has had it removed. I don't know anything. And I said to my friend was like really sick, and he thought he had food poisoning. I'm like, it's your gallbladder. Go to the hospital right now. And
Oh my God.
I know. I was at work.
It happens so once in a while with people. I just have these feelings, and I'm sometimes right about them, and I'm like, and I've saved a few people's lives with that. So I don't tell people a lot that I do that, but it's happened a couple of times.
Wow.
You know,
I saw a guy at work whose eyeballs were jaundiced. So, and I kind of did the same thing.
That's scary.
Yeah, that was Todd actually.
Oh, what was wrong with him?
Yeah, something wrong with his
Oh, his
spleen. He had his spleen removed.
You're
Yeah.
the one who told him about that?
Oh, I said, dude, I don't know what's going on with you, but I don't know if you know this. Your eyes are yellow, like
Holy
fucking,
fuck.
like
He didn't notice it?
No, he didn't.
And no one else told him?
Like no one. I guess no one noticed, but like I saw the whites of his eyes were fucking. I'm like, dude, you might have hepatitis or some shit.
Is he okay?
Well, yeah.
He's
Well,
fine
he
now.
eventually did go to the doctor,
Yeah.
and he had to have his spleen removed.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's pretty serious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
so-
It's a good thing you said it.
Yeah.
But isn't it like that girl in that
I didn't see
movie?
any auras or anything. I literally
Guardians of-
saw yellow at his eyeballs.
Guardians of the Galaxy too, with the girl in that. Wasn't she like very sensitive to people's like feelings, and she?
Oh, yeah, the
absorbed
new girl.
everything?
The new girl,
Oh my God, I
yes.
loved her.
Yeah.
The ugly one.
Yes, yeah,
that was so funny.
That's the best movie. Of
No,
the
but she
year.
really wasn't ugly. That was the joke of it.
Oh really?
You're hideous.
Yeah,
And
Guardians
she's, like,
2 was an amazing movie.
Beautiful, yeah.
I want to see that. Yeah,
You
see, yeah,
should.
that's like I had a therapist that like I didn't realize why I would get depressed or I'd be around certain people and I didn't know what was going on, and then like I'm like, oh my God, I'm feeling everyone's energy, and everyone's like, I thought I was a weirdo, and then a therapist that like said, no, that's a real thing, like you know what I'm saying? So it's like like if I go into Manhattan and stay too long, I get like I get totally
overwhelmed.
Oh yeah,
I can believe that. I can believe that. I do that too. I mean, I get that way too. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm an empath, or maybe I am, and I've never been called that. But I mean, Gene always calls me the fucking diva, the emotional one.
Yeah, you're a diva.
The drama
Really?
queen. Yeah, so it could very well be. And I do get in overstimulated environments. Yeah, I after a while it gets too much for me. I have to get out.
Yeah.
No, me too. And then I also attract really crazy people around me.
Yeah. Well, that's him too. but-
And that happens to me all the time. I'm like, why am I attracting crazy people around me? Because then I have like boundary issues. So now, you know, like
I also attract a dark cloud that just reigns over my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all do that. Yeah.
Oh no, only he does.
Well, it's hard. Like you have to like protect yourself.
Yes.
You know,
It's true. We do have to protect ourselves.
Yeah, and I know that depression is definitely ongoing battles with depression is definitely part of my story as well. So
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know. And then I realize sometimes a lot of the depression could be around being around negative situations or people rather than your actual chemistry. And sometimes you have to look at that too. You know, like being or going against yourself will cause depression, like against what you really believe in or what you really want.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, other than the chemical, you know, makeup of depression.
Yeah. But yeah, it's weird because it's hard to explain to people who haven't suffered from about depression or real depression. No matter what someone says to someone with depression, it just makes it worse. You can't say anything good to someone while they're depressed. It's impossible.
Right.
All you can say is, dude, I feel for you, and I'm going to give you your space.
Well, how do you get out of depression? When you get into one, how do you get out of it?
You know what? I usually have to hit some sort of mini bottom. I go in. To me, it's like a spiral. I can really feel it, like I'm caught in a loop, like a panic loop on a computer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and I just feel like a descent, and once that is kicked off, like, it doesn't matter. I'm just going down until like I hit some sort of bottom and I'm able to pick myself back up again. That's the only way I can describe it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. That is actually the best analogy. It feels like like an old panic loop in a computer. Like, oh my God, I'm caught in a loop, and you're going to need to reboot soon.
and you're able to get back up.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this: the downs aren't as bad as they were. Like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But I still have my moments.
No, it's hard. I've been very deep depression, so I understand.
Yeah, and I also have like a lot of time with 12-step work, so I have a lot of those tools to fall back on. Because even though I smoke, I don't drink, and I haven't drank in like going on 25 years or some.
Oh wow,
fucking
that's
amount.
amazing.
Yeah, so.
Well, and that's just like a totally different.
Yeah.
Alcohol and
marijuana.
But
the only problem there is there's this weird. One-size-fits-all thinking that rehab sort of perpetuated. So like my problem was alcohol. If I drink, things go bad. It's like spin the wheel. You don't know. Like someone said, "Oh, do you get violent?" I said, "No, that's not really the problem. The problem is you don't know what you're going to get when I drink."
Right, and nobody likes that. At all.
I could be a nice guy. I could be a fucking asshole. I could pass out. It's just so.
But you were fun for a little bit, but then you just were a dick. It happens.
And I know
I'm
allergic. I can just tell when it's like fire water, no good for Scott.
It's true.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. My dad was like that. He couldn't. He drank anyway, but he.
I did too. That was the problem.
Oh my God, it's so sad.
Yeah. But my problem was that once I started drinking, I couldn't stop, and once I stopped, I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I never think about it.
Because your mind goes there.
That was my problem.
Yeah. That's when you have a problem.
Yeah, that sums up my drinking in a nutshell. Once I started drinking, I just couldn't stop until I was physically unable to do so. Ugh. Either because I ended up in jail or I passed out or whatever. And then,
something bad, right?
And then once I stopped, I could not stop thinking about my neck when I was going to do it again.
Well, and I kind of have the same sort of story, and I have to tell you, I don't miss feeling like shit at all in the morning.
We might trim some of this because I don't know how fun this is going to be. The depressing.
But it's a part of
alcoholism.
I know we're talking about politics, depression.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But you know what
I found?
This show. No, but you know what I found though? Depression is very intertwined into the comedy world.
Oh, definitely.
A lot of depression.
Oh, totally.
So much so.
It's it's a very.
I think that's
common,
what makes. I think that's what makes funny people comedians or comics.
It's very lonely. Like I noticed, coming from doing stand up and having an acting career, when I'm with actors, actors take care of themselves. They eat right for the most part. They sleep. They make sure they have to be ready for their instrument has to be finely tuned, right? And then comics are they just wake up anytime they want. They don't eat right. They stay up all night. They depress. There's much more, less self-care.
It's such a lifestyle too.
Yeah, we have no self-care, especially the men. Some of them are a little vain, but other than that, there's no self-care.
Right. I can actually pull this into Kevin.
Okay.
Because Kevin does a show with a guy who was a writer for Jay Leno's Tonight Show, Andy McElfresh, and it's called Edumacation. But for some reason, it was just so arbitrary. Kevin he does an impression of Bane from Batman, that movie with Tom Hardy. And just so he was observing how you could probably swap out Bane's voice over Darth Vader and it would work. But then he drifts into this weird thing. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, as Bane, he starts to analyze his own comedy stylings. So he's starting to dissect Bane as stand-up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it became Bane became this bad stand-up character. But, if you've ever hung out with comics, it was so funny.
Yeah.
Because he was just, I've got to, I don't want to do it because I won't do it justice. But it's brilliant. If you ever get the chance, check it out. I'll send you a link.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. It's really funny because it kind of adds a
as
lot
a comedian, if you don't find it funny, because it's so
it's dark.
And it pulls back the fourth wall about comedians in general and how they think and how, It's very.
Right.
You got to hear it.
That makes me sad. Though,
wanna
thinking
hear
that there's not self-care though. Now I'm thinking that they're not like they don't make
No,
enough
I
money
mean, some
to
of
eat,
them
Yeah, like
Right.
drinking all night.
showering and stuff. But that makes
Some
me
do.
sad.
I mean, the younger ones I notice are big drinkers and they do drugs. Like that's come back a lot. So, I see that more.
Right. Ugh.
What drugs other
A lot
than?
of them, but the more successful ones are now they're sober. Like all my friends that I've.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
They're pretty sober for the most part, or they don't have an issue at all. Like my friend, my generation.
Coke
Right.
is becoming trendy again, isn't it?
Coke is coming
like
back.
powder
Yeah, I
Coke.
never did coke in my life. Ever.
Yeah, I wish I could say
I'm a
the
prude
same.
with drugs.
I did not like I didn't need to be that awake.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Too
see,
much.
that wasn't my purpose to get high. Was to be awake. I wanted
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
kind of more
yeah.
like in like a
You want to
zone.
be? Yeah, people. That's becoming big too again. People are doing coke again. I
know.
I didn't know where that came from.
Yeah.
I know. Ooh, I hate it.
There's all that Oxycontin out there. You got to
It's
stay
like
awake.
a crawl out of your skin type of feeling, and I'm just not like that. I'm just
No,
not.
I like to be like mellow.
Me
Like
too. Me too. I love mellow. That's the way I am.
Yep.
I'd probably be a heroin addict if I tried heroin.
I don't want to get too mellow because then I'll ripen, then rot. Thank you,
Right.
Woody Allen.
I
never want to try.
You didn't do
heroin
it in
'cause I
your
know
Woody.
I'd be addicted.
Yeah, I know. But that's
That feeling sounds really good because that's
Yeah.
the kind of feeling I like. But I don't want to do it, so
Me
I'm not
too.
doing it.
Well, we appreciate you staying on, even
Oh, thank
despite
you.
like the
Oh my
7
God.
hours
Oh,
of
thank-
bad material we've just phoned in.
They like just.
I know. I wish I was funnier. I wish I was.
No, I think it was us. We dragged the show down. It doesn't help that they have these fucking white nationalists on a loop here.
I
So
know.
the whole time, this is what we've been watching.
Did they get arrested? They didn't get arrested, did they?
There were
I don't even know what's going on. Like they keep playing like the same, I guess, the prime cuts, the good fights. It's like a hockey game,
Are there more protesters than there are people? I hope.
There's both.
Yeah.
There seems to be about an equal amount of both. And
But
what was
really?
scary is it was absolute lawlessness this morning, apparently.
Where was it? What state
It's in
was it?
Charlottesville, Virginia.
Charlottesville,
Oh, it
Virginia.
all erupted over a statue of Robert E. Lee that they wanted to
You know
take
what?
down.
They lost the war. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. He's a fucking traitor. I don't get it. I don't get why they
Oh
cling
my
to that.
God, they're still clinging to that.
Let's
And there
cling
were
to a
black-
traitor who abandoned his government.
I was looking a little while ago, and there were black guys with their arms up in the air. So what does that mean? Were they getting arrested?
I don't know.
Yeah. That's
Because
good.
that's
Black men.
so they don't get
Like-
shot.
We're gonna have a whole civil rights movement again. I think.
We're gonna need to.
But a different form of it. But
Yeah, it's gonna be the white civil rights movement.
Oh, it's so disgusing.
Where can we see you, ma'am?
Yay!
Oh God, I have.
Any dates coming up?
I'm going to be headlining the Baltimore in September, the Baltimore Comedy and Arts Festival. I do a show once a month or twice a month at Salzy's. I'm trying to I don't even know my dates. I don't have any dates specifically, so just I'll tweet it out.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Follow me on Twitter. Actually, it's Stacey Prussman, or Facebook. Stacey Prussman fan page. You'll see me, and I'll put my gigs up because I forget. Every day it changes. Like tonight, someone might call me and say, "Do you want to do a spot?" And I might come and do a spot.
cool.
So that's how I do. But I'll be
Hey,
going
it
on
works.
the road more.
You do you.
People need to call me up and say, "You want to do a spot?" I'll say, "I need 5 minutes."
I don't. Basically, I just sort of play it by ear with the city. But I have to start booking the road more. I haven't been on the road since I had a rough year. But
Do you like the road?
In spurts, I don't mind doing a weekend or a week here and coming
Yeah.
back, and then I don't mind it at all. I actually like it. It's nice to get away.
Yeah, it is nice.
Musicians hate the road.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, they have it differently.
Well, that's
I just fly
different.
in and out or
Yeah.
drive in and out. I don't have they just go from one city
That's
to
like
another
a
city
tour.
in a van with shitty.
Or a bus
you
or
do
whatever.
comedy. Yeah, comedy clubs. You go there. They usually put you up in a decent hotel. You stay for 2 or 3 nights. You do the shows. You leave. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't find that a problem.
No,
you
not
know?
at all. That sounds like fun, actually.
Yeah.
All right,
it's a
we
lot
got to
of
start
fun.
booking our act, Gene.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, it's so fun. I'm so glad we had this time together. Actually, I did do a play down in Florida. I did, and that was really fun. So that was good. It's a fun night. And we have a little thing, and we have I'm gonna try to make food. Sometimes I try to make food, or whatever, and I make it a little get together because I have
Bring
a
a
big
covered
apartment. So I
dish.
don't utilize it.
Bring a covered dish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which they call.
Well,
what is
thank you so much for having me. I had such a good time. So, find me at StaceyPressman.com or Twitter, Stacey Prussman.
Yay!
Yay!
All right. We'll wrap it up by saying Stacey Prussman, everybody.
Yay!
Thank
Stacey.
you. Have a great day.
You too, Stacey.
There you have Miss Stacey Pressman. Yay. We very much enjoyed our interview with her and talking with her and hanging out with her. And I love the whole Howard Stern tie-in.
I know, I love it.
That's a whole well that like we haven't tapped into until later in this show.
Right.
Like it's something we kind of Waldorf. We kind of walled off. Or
Right.
It's one of those things we thought we would never cross. Or it was
Right.
one of those Rubicons. We'll never talk about this on the air. But then we did.
Yeah.
We had that show
Right.
because of inspired by Shooting Clerks and to kind of show what big fans we were.
Right.
And so, yeah.
And it was showing that it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah,
too.
so the cool thing is, like, as a result, post this show, Steve Grillo, like, we're friends on Facebook now.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it is.
Steve Grillo.
I would definitely love to have him on the show. So it's
Excellent.
I'm sure that will happen now.
Sure.
And Jackie too. That would be awesome. I would
Jackie the
love to get
Joke Man, Marlowe.
We can just like dig into our past via
Jackie.
via this as a result of this show.
That shit used to be so funny with like his finger cuts and stuff. Oh my god, all that
Hey!
stuff is so hey.
Jackie Joke Man, Marlowe.
I'm a really freaking likable guy.
I mean, because back then, such big fans.
Flies, they get on my nerves.
As you'll experience if you go back to one of the last few episodes of season 3 of this show. Mm-hmm. There's a Howard Stern episode.
Yeah, check that out.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it. Kick out of it.
Yeah, it's very.
Find out how wild and crazy we are.
It's kinda adorable, actually.
And speaking of wild and crazy, you should check out our other show that we do, which has now become more of a labor of love because we want to provide much better content, much more consistently on this show.
Right.
As you can probably tell from the last several weeks.
Right. We're putting more effort here.
It just makes more sense.
Right.
You know, we tried the other way and it just made us more fucked up than stay on the beam.
But right now, that's what we need to do. And it's been great.
Until we have more staff.
Right. Yes.
So,
true,
yeah, but you can check out our other show that we're doing as a labor of love, and it may be the best episode of that show.
It's so great.
It's with Hemda and Hennessy. Hemda is from Keith and the Girl. You may remember her because she was on this show with Keith and the Girl.
Right.
And to tell you the truth, that the other show we do grew out of that, and so it was nice to give her that props.
Right.
And then her husband, Hennessy, is on, and I'm not saying this to be shocking. I'm not saying this because I'm saying it's part of what makes the show so interesting and educational is that Hennessy is transgendered.
Right.
So you get to hear about that experience and as a relationship and how that's worked. And it's just...
And very, like, some very, like, intimate things that are very...
So it's an amazing discussion.
Very, yes.
It may not be for everybody, obviously. It's not,
Hey.
But...
If you're listening to a show called Tales from the Swing, it won't be shocking. I think you'll be okay.
Oh, my God.
If it's shocking you, I think you should probably listen to something
Speaking
else.
of that subject. Wow.
About, like, knitting or something.
Sometimes you have a moment, and last night was one of those moments.
Oh, my God, guys. It was like, wow.
Yeah. We met a really...
They were like...
really
so hot.
Yeah, we just had so much fun and really like these people. And, like, we hope to spend a lot of time with them in the future.
Yeah, so we'll have to... Hopefully we'll be able to talk about it
Some
more.
strangers pop on the show. You'll be like, who are these people?
Right.
Anyway.
It was like super, super hot.
Mind-blowing, good time. Yeah. So, but check out our other show so then you'll actually know kind of an idea of what it is that we're talking about.
Yeah. It's a great show. And I know it sounds like we're bragging about our show, which we kind of are, but it's a great show.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Hemda and Hennessy, for coming on.
Yeah.
And for having us in your space. And it was just like it was really comfortable and great.
We plan to have Hennessy on.
Yes, again.
Sometime soon. before the end of season 4, for sure.
And do like maybe a Jay and Bob thing.
Yeah,
or something
well, that's later. That'll definitely happen later on.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? Oh, next week, huge guest.
Oh, God.
I don't even know how to say it, but...
It's like crazy. Just the support of so many people surrounding like the podcast and the movie. And So we've met so many people that are very okay
Supportive,
with
and-
saying, "Hey, yeah, sure, why not try that?"
And I think what really helped was if folks go back in the archives. It's even, I know it's included in the first best of we put together. We talked with Michael Rooker.
Right.
And it was a really good interview, and we were we were thrilled to have gotten him.
So pleased.
And I always say, when I talk about it, what I love about it is you kind of hear him downshift, because we go from, I'm sure he's used to talking about fucking, Walking Dead and blah blah, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we just
and Guardians.
and we just kind of downshift, because we at that time, Mallrats 2 was in the works.
Right.
So, there was a lot of stars from that film holding up their fingers at 2. And a script was developed, and then it turned into a series. But at that time, there was a little hype going. There was some buzz, and we managed to get, Michael Rooker on the show, because we thought that was great, and it was something certainly to promote. And so he got on, and it was a great interview.
Yeah.
And as it turns out from our guest next week, apparently that's not always easy to get. So
no, apparently it's a hard.
We got lucky. So
yeah.
and I always thought Mr. Rooker was very gracious. So I was
my
very
God,
happy.
I
with
thought
that.
it was so everything just went well, perfect with that.
And so why the fuck are they? And I think as a result of that, it's the reason why they felt comfortable enough to say, "Hey, would you guys like to have Sean Gunn on the show?"
Oh, hell's yes.
To which we were like, if anyone has seen Shooting Clerks, we had the Randall's mom reaction in the most recent.
Yes. Oh my God. That was,
and we were like,
oh my God, you guys.
Yeah.
Chris, I don't know whose idea that was to do that part, but that was brilliant.
Well, anyway.
Chris, Brett, whoever you guys are great.
Back to the story at hand.
That was
so
great.
Yeah, so after several weeks, it's been a while.
Right. Been a while.
I would say it's like 2 months
right.
that we've been working on locking down this interview.
Uh-huh.
It finally happened.
Oh.
It's in the can. And it's dropping next week. And I'm so thrilled that we're going to sit down and I get to sit down and talk with Sean Gunn. And for those who don't know, Sean Gunn is
amazing.
In Guardians of the Galaxy. He's the physical character of Rocket.
Right.
But he's also the first mate of Yondu.
Right.
So whose name Kraglin. I don't know how it is. So from the first movie, he's the guy who said, Captain's going to teach stuff, which is when I fell in love with that character.
Oh my God, it's so funny.
But, for those who don't know, as Brian O'Halloran gives him props, he's kind of like the American Gollum for Rocket. So
yeah, it's so true.
And so we're thrilled to have him on the show. He's also, as it turns out, he's big in Gilmore Girls.
Right.
See, now, not my wheelhouse, but the women in your work were thrilled about that.
I know, because he's very, very important in the Gilmore Girls.
The Gilmore Girl background.
World.
And so, all right, so next week you'll get to hear all about that.
He is Kirk, by the way. So
Yes.
if you like the Gilmore Girls, check out, because Kirk is huge.
All right, so next week.
And adorable.
And you know what's great about this? It's done. It's in the can. It's ready to rock. So I don't have to worry.
Yeah.
I love promoting this. So next week, our guest will be none other than Rocket.
Yes.
Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy, the onset version. I mean, Rocket is a conglomeration, but he is a large portion of that character.
Can I say something about Rocket?
Also, Bradley Cooper's the other half.
Can I say something about Rocket really quick?
What?
The second movie.
He can make you cry.
The second movie, for some reason, I liked Rocket in the first one.
Yeah.
But the second one, I love. Yeah.
And we go into
he
a lot
totally
of that.
Goes.
Yes. So
it's awesome.
All right, so that's next week. We've hyped it. We've sucked its dick. We're totally happy to promote that next week it'll be Sean Gunn on the show.
Sometimes you gotta suck it.
It's so weird too, because there's been once or twice where I just accidentally, because it's Sean Gunn, it's easy to go James Gunn. So there's been times this week where I gotta undo that tweet because I accidentally tweeted James Gunn just because it's so easy.
No, James Gunn is great.
Well, James Gunn is Gunn. That's his brother, and we touch on him too.
Yeah,
and the thing that makes me proudest you'll hear at the end of the interview.
Yeah, it was great.
Let's just leave it there. I feel like I'm building up for the interview, which won't happen until next week.
So I have heard it, but that's it.
Until then.
Okay, guys.
Yeah. And I would not, the funny thing, Kevin has been tweeting how much he loves Sean Gunn, too.
Yeah.
And I sent him a note that he was coming on the show and blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know. Maybe St. Kevin gave us a little blessing. You know what I mean? He sent out a little.
He's a doll. I hope his mom's okay.
He blew us a little kiss, yeah. I have a feeling she will be. I have a feeling that, Hurricane Pickle Rick will.
Pickle Rick. Oh, my God. That was so funny. I hope all you guys saw that because it kind of brought a little bit of light on it.
Levity to it. Yes.
Levity.
What could be a total disaster to Florida.
I know.
But I think it may be all right because we've been through a lot. There's been a lot of prep, a lot.
It's been downgraded already. So, I mean,
to a 3 last time we saw it.
Yeah, so
it gives you an idea when we record this.
Right. So hopefully everybody evacuated and everybody is safe.
Sorry.
And went to
and
I
evacuated
food.
just now.
Yeah, everyone's got.
Why do I
everyone
have a fart
food.
Sound queued up? I have all these fart. I have
because
all these
you need
sounds.
food. Because then.
Here we go. Here's a fart sound.
I just want to tell you how I'm feeling.
There you go.
I thought he was kind of cute. I don't know. I don't get it.
I like this name, Fart.
I thought he was adorable. Fart. Oh my God, that's. So...
I have to get that sound now.
Fart.
I like this name, Fart.
Now we're just talking.
After 988 seasons of Planet Music, the Cromulons have decided to declare Earth the final winner and bring our musical reality show to a conclusion. Goodbye.
There you go. See, I found the fart sound I was looking for.
Okay, so are you going to close the show now? Because you found it?
Yes.
Fart sound.
We could be infested with the...
Oh, my God.
Why can't I find the... Why isn't Pluto a planet? Sorry.
Okay.
Show me what you got.
Show me what you got.
All right, folks. For those out there who haven't heard it from anyone else today, there might be a reason.
No, maybe they have already, but it's all right.
But either way,
hear it again.
You're smart and you're good.
Smart and good.
And we love y'all.
Yeah, yous guys.
What can I say but...
Be good.
Do you know what? It's not that half bad Al Pacino there.
That was a stupid poll because what I really wanted
Al Pacino,
was...
yeah.
ThatMan on Fatman.
Do you know what? It's not that half bad Al Pacino there.
And we should really close...
What are you doing?
With the proper...
Please join me in a final prayer.
Oh my God, I think Scott's having a stroke.
Yoga fat.
Yes.
Yoga fat.
Very important.
Yoga fat. Yoga fat. Yoga fat. Yoga fat. Yoga fat. And sorry, not sorry. Confetti finger.
Yeah. You're so crazy. Why is that the Smedlines music?
Because I accidentally hit it. Then why'd you catch me? Why couldn't you let me just do that?
It's funny.
Because it said closer on it and I hit it.
Bye, guys. See you next time.
Bye. Smart and good, folks. Thanks for listening. Sean Gunn next week.
Yeah. Awesome.
Smiling, praying for some faith. Thoughts are drifting through my mind and filling it with fear. Is there something else out there? And just why are we here? worship at our shrine. Bursting flowers into bloom, there's no such thing as time. Powers from our Mother Earth will blow us to our knees. Twisting, turning, minds are burning, join us if you please. And now I see that I am just beginning its demise. Flashing bits of comic light that vanish from the skies. Powers from our Mother Earth is all we'll ever be. All our souls combined as one. Come join us if you please. If you please. If you please. If you please.
There he is. It's that man standing over Blood Alley Square, protecting us all. Go get him, that man.